Hey listeners, how are you all? Thank you so much for being our awesome members. There's a lot to come more. Sit tight, be comfy, put your headphones, now let's begin. It was a happy night for the majority of the ninja village of Konoha on October 10th. It was the anniversary of their beloved Yondaime Hokage's selfless sacrifice to defeat the demon Kyuubi no Kitsune 12 years ago. To the civilians, that meant a lot of drinking, games, and partying. However, to one 12-year-old boy, it meant his life would be in danger. That boy's name is Uzumaki Naruto, and today is his birthday. A normal child would spend their birthday playing with their fellow children, eating cake, and going to sleep in their bed within a safe home. Naruto spent his birthdays playing dodge the angry mob, eating out of a dumpster, and trying not to fall asleep so that he won't be attacked. Sadly, our hero is currently failing at all three of those goals. He has been chased by a drunken mob of angry villagers since noon, so he hasn't been able to stop and scavenge or steal food. He had been running all day and only stopped when he could no longer hear their cries of, "Die demon!" or, "Let's finish what the Yondaime started." He managed to duck into an alleyway and couldn't do anything but wonder. He wondered why they hated him, why they called him a demon, but most of all why no one stopped them. Did no one care that he was beaten within an inch of his life every year? That he only survived if he acted like he was dead? As Naruto sat there, something in him changed. He vowed to never let this happen to him again. He vowed to become strong enough to protect himself, to not live in worry, and to leave this forsaken village. But the only way to become powerful enough to do any of those things was to become a ninja. A ninja of the village he vowed to abandon. Naruto was shaken from his thoughts when he heard a loud yell from the other end of the alleyway. "There's the demon brat," said a large man brandishing a broken bottle. Out of the way, came a voice from behind the crowd. A man wearing a green utility vest walked out of the crowd and towards Naruto. "You civilians haven't been able to kill him in 12 years. He drunkenly spat out. "And who are you?" said one of the men in the mob. It wasn't the green-vested man who responded but a woman who was also wearing the same vest. "We are Chunin 5 of Konoha 6 and we are here to kill the demon once and for all." "Did the Sandaime Hokage send you?" questioned a middle-aged woman. "Of course not. Everyone knows the demon has him under its control. We came on our own." Naruto was currently trying to shrink down as far as he could into the wall. From what the Sandaime said, or GG7 as Naruto calls him, Chunin are the second weakest type of ninja. However, anyone that's been a ninja longer than a month could easily defeat a civilian. An exhausted child like him had no chance of winning. Naruto laid down his head in defeat and prayed to anyone that was listening that he wouldn't die. But it appeared that no kami were listening or cared because the pair of Chunin both drew their kunai and began to walk towards the young boy with malicious grins on their faces. In one swift motion the male Chunin brought the kunai down into Naruto's shoulder, fully expecting to hear a cry of pain, a scream, or even a wince. Much to their disbelief, there was zero reaction from the boy. The woman pulled the boy's head up by his hair and immediately dropped it and fell backwards. Her partner Kyuubi looked up with concern for her in his eyes. "Amy, are you okay? What did the demon do to you?" "Saburo, his eyes, he has the eyes of the Kyuubi." Saburo quickly looked at the child's face and saw that his face held no emotion but his eyes were completely dark red, and with a black vertical pupil. One of the drunken villagers suddenly remarked, "Is it getting warmer?" Other people began to know and agree when Saburo noticed that the demon was glowing. Naruto's body was emitting not just light but also chakra, the same energy that allows ninjas to use their techniques and is also in nearly every living being. Everything with chakra constantly emits a small amount of the energy, but the amount Naruto is letting out every second is equal to how much total chakra a genin has. "Amy, I think we should leave. The Kyuubi is letting out a lot of chakra. Alright, it's time to get out of her boom." Suddenly a huge amount of chakra was expelled from Naruto and everyone in the crowd including the two Chunin were knocked back at least 20 feet by sheer force and everyone including Naruto was knocked unconscious. Third person POV narrator. Unknown. "Ugh, my head," Naruto thought, "where am I?" Naruto looked around and the area around him was eerily similar to a sewer. "Oh Kami, it smells awful." Naruto examined the area he was in. He was currently in a large square room that had a door that served as an entrance or exit. Naruto began to stand but nearly fell due to the pain in his shoulder. He limped over to it and upon opening it discovered that it led to a long torch-lit tunnel. Naruto walked down the tunnel and again found a door. This must be the exit. The very second Naruto opened the door he noticed something very peculiar. There was a thick fog within whatever sewer or building Naruto was in. But Naruto wasn't one to let weather stop, so he ran straight through it. It took him about 2 minutes to reach the end of the fog in his exhausted state. Naruto took a break to look around and rest. The room he was currently in was so large that he couldn't see any walls or a ceiling. All his light was coming from giant braziers about 2,000 feet away. After a small rest, Naruto set off towards the braziers of fire. The closer Naruto got, the more he could make out. There were 4 braziers surrounding what appeared to be a large cage. While the braziers were about 40 feet tall, the cage had to be around 200. When Naruto was within 30 feet of the cage, he heard a thunderous voice, "Hello, fleshbag." And this is only an introduction, and the following chapters will be larger. Village hidden in the leaves. 4th fire shadow. 9-tailed fox. God or gods. Middle ninja. Leaf. Grandpa. Knives that can be used in either hand-to-hand combat or thrown. Naruto in the game. The game has begun. Naruto in the game ch. 2. The game begins. Text types. Narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Game text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon jutsu. Sharingan equals D. Use Ex Machina. Before on Naruto in the game. After a small rest, Naruto set off towards the braziers of fire. The closer Naruto got, the more he could make out. There were 4 braziers surrounding what appeared to be a large cage. While the braziers were about 40 feet tall, the cage had to be around 200. When Naruto was within 30 feet of the cage, he heard a thunderous voice, "Hello, fleshbag." 3rd person POV. Narrator unknown. Who's there? Asked a terrified Naruto. There was no one in sight, and Naruto was about to ask again until he heard the voice again. "Don't tell me you haven't guessed. I don't know what you're talking about. Could you please tell me where I am and how to get back to Ko? Be silent, mortal," said the voice interrupting him. "I shall tell you when you may speak. Answer me. Do you know where you are?" "No," Naruto replied. "Could you please tell me?" "You are in your mindscape, a mental representation of your consciousness. As for getting out, well, I've no reason to tell you. This is my mind. Ask me without stuttering. Show me that famous Uzumaki courage. You know about my family. Of course, my last 2 hosts were Uzumakis." "What do you mean hosts? Who are you?" Suddenly Naruto could hear a low laugh as well as something very large moving towards him from within the cage. "I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Out of the darkness of the cage, a tall orange fox with 9 tails. And you are my 3rd host. You can't be the fox. It was killed 12 years ago. Wrong, weakling. I am a being of pure chakra. No mere human could destroy me. The Yondaime sacrificed his soul to summon the one Shinigami to seal me into an infant. That infant was you, weakling. Why did he seal you into me? Why did he ruin my life?" The Kyuubi's face softened a bit. "Kit, he didn't make this choice without any thought. He also didn't choose just anyone's child. He was far too kind for that. It had to be a newborn so that it could contain but also adapt to my chakra. So he chose his newborn son. The Yondaime is my father. He sacrificed me to be the village's punching bag. Didn't he know that they would hate me? That he would make me a demon? Ha ha ha." The 9 tails laughed. "Why are you laughing? It's just funny that you think you are a demon. Please, kid, you aren't anywhere close to being me. But if it will make you feel better, your father's last wish was that you would be accepted and treated as a hero for holding me back from destroying your town. So he loved me?" Naruto asked with hope in his heart. "Kid, that man loved you more than life itself. It is quite frankly the only reason I can tolerate talking about him. To Biju and all demons, Our young are the most valuable things to us. There is nothing that can make a demon angrier than to harm its young. Kyubi 3-san. Yes, do you want me to change your cage for you, what? Well, I figured that since this is my mind that I could change it. Okay. Great. Give me a second. The boy had a look of concentration on his face for a moment and then something miraculous happened. Suddenly the great fog surrounding the cage was gone and where it used to be was a lush forest full of big and small game. Naruto turned to the befuddled-tailed fox. Kyubi-san, the forest stretches for miles in each direction and there is a range of mountains along the perimeter of the forest. I also removed the cage and have a collar that serves the same purpose but allows you the freedom to move. And could you please tell me how to leave now? You simply have to imagine waking up. Thanks Kurama, my name is Kurama. Naruto had a surprised look on his face but it shifted into a happy one. As Naruto was waking up he could faintly hear Kurama say, I won't forget this kit, thank you. Third-person POV narrator Konoha. The 4-Sandame Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was not having a good day. It had started out like any other with a pile of paperwork on his desk placed there by his annoying secretary. He really should just fire her after seeing how she treated Naruto, the boy he considers to be an adoptive grandson. However, he had gone through 4 secretaries in a month because of various reasons and his assistant refused to keep looking for more. After finishing the first batch of paperwork Hiruzen decided to take a break. He pulled out his pipe. And whoa, NDERED just when or how everything went wrong. He should be relaxing in his retirement, not having to be forced back into service after his successor's death. He should be free to take care of his grandchild, not having to worry if his favorite Uzumaki was going to be killed by the villagers that Hiruzen is supposed to protect. But he was shaken from his thoughts when a messenger 5ANBU1 shunshuns into his office and kneels. SANDAIME 6 Sama, Uzumaki-san was attacked by a mob and is being denied treatment in the hospital. What? Hiruzen roars. I will have their heads for this. The Sandame X acutes a flawless shunshin and instantly appears in the hospital. Ah, Sandame Sama, just in time. These Anbu are trying to force us to heal the demon. Good. The aged Hokage replies, that means that unlike you, they're actually doing their job. What do you mean Sandame Sama? 12 years ago that thing destroyed half the village and killed the Yondaime. Wrong. The Kyubi did that, not Naruto. Now if I don't have at least 4 doctors healing that wounded boy then I am sending this entire hospital to Ibiki. If fear of the Hokage didn't convince the staff to start moving, mention of Ibiki sure did. Ibiki was the well-known head of the Konoha TI department. No one could surpass him when it came to torture. Time skip 1 hour. Third-person POV narrator Konoha. After being threatened a visit to Ibiki the doctors worked at a feverish pace. They cleaned and stitched his wound as well as leaving him some pain medication. He was asleep through the whole procedure and remained so even after the doctors tried to wake him. They left Naruto with Hiruzen who decided to take him back to the boy's apartment. Upon arriving at the child's home, Hiruzen was struck with such a rage that began to release so much chakra that every single person in the village shuddered. The reason behind his rage was seeing the condition of Naruto's home. When Hiruzen gave Naruto the apartment the building was full of residents, clean, and well maintained. But now, the entire building was vacated with no signs of anyone besides Naruto being there for a long time. The place was also practically falling apart. There were broken walls and beams everywhere inside. The building also appeared to have become infested with cockroaches and rats. But the worst part was the graffiti painted along the building. There was everything from calling him a demon, to telling him to stop running next time they went after them. Hiruzen could do nothing but look at the unconscious boy in his arms with pity. Hi. Hiruzen laid Naruto down and the second Naruto's head hit the bed his eyes shot wide open. GG. First person POV Naruto. Konoha. Ugh. Naruto thought. My head. Again. I opened my eyes to see a surprising sight. Gigi is standing above me and there's a thing above his head. Gigi. The Hokage's eyes widened and he looked at me in surprise. How are we in my apartment? Well Naruto, the doctors. I spoke to said that you were attacked by a mob. His face then formed into a frown. Did you see anything while you were unconscious? I froze like a child caught misbehaving. No, but why is there a number above your head, Gigi? That's what I like to call changing the subject. What do you mean, child? Gigi responded with a confused look on his face. Above you head it says Sarutobi Hiruzen 7 the professor, and it says level 64 above that. Naruto, are you sure that your head is alright? Any headaches or anything? Am I imagining it? Could it all be in my head? No, it has to be real. But it won't do to have Gigi think I am insane and am seeing things. It's nothing, Gigi, just a joke. Well, alright, child, I just want to make sure you're alright. Oh, and while I'm here, Naruto, here's some money to help renovate the building and get new clothes. Gigi pulls out a giant stack of 1,000 Ryo bills. My mouth watered at the sight of the large amount of bills. Thanks, Gigi. It's fine, my boy. After all, that's the village's money. The wizened Hokage said as we both shared a laugh at that. Gigi, can I enroll in the Ninja Academy next year? The Hokage had a shocked look but recovered momentarily. Oh, of course, Naruto. You will enroll next September, is that alright? It's perfect, but I have one small favor to ask. Can I please have some basic jutsu that I can learn so that I can keep up with some of the clan children like the 8 Aburame or 9 Nara? I asked. Gigi hesitated but responded, very well. Tomorrow I will come with chakra paper and a list of 10 jutsu for whatever elements you have. Thank you, Gigi. It's fine, Naruto. Think of it as your birthday present. Gigi then used some kind of ninja technique to teleport out Shunshin. Third-person POV narrator. Naruto's mindscape. Now that Gigi is gone, it's time to talk Kurama. Naruto imagined himself in his mindscape, and moments later he was in the lush forest once again. He detected a foreign being in his mind, and he sensed that it was in front of him and was moving towards him at incredible speed. Within seconds a tiger-sized Kurama appeared in the clearing with a frest's mouth. Hello, kid. What do you need? There it is again. What? Kurama replied, extremely confused. I keep seeing these words and numbers above people's heads. Like what? There is a bar above people's heads. Yours, says Kurama. Kyuubi no Kitsune with level 137 above that. Hey kid, I have an idea. What is it? Naruto asked. I can link us so that I can see everything you see as well as allowing you to use my power. Alright, Kurama. Suddenly a beam of chakra shot out from Kurama to Naruto. When the beam died down, Naruto felt like he could run around the village 40 times. Alright, thanks Kurama. I'm going to go to sleep. Naruto willed himself out of his mind and back into the real world. I'm exhausted. Time to go to bed. Naruto walked over to his bed and saw a message pop up in the middle of the air. It said, would you like to go to sleep to regain all HP health points and CP chakra points YRN? Kurama, are you seeing this? Yeah, I see it, kid. I only have 2 options. I said aloud. The very second I said options, the question of whether I wanted to sleep disappeared and this popped up. Would you like to go to the options menu? Y or N? Sure, why not? Naruto thought. He pressed Y for yes, and suddenly a menu titled Options appeared. One of the many buttons and options was to activate the tutorial. Go for it, kid. Turn on the tutorial. Y or N? Naruto pressed yes, and the options menu was replaced by a screen that said, hello. Welcome to the game. This game will allow you to become the best possible you. You can learn techniques and styles lost to the sands of time. You could do anything you wanted with enough invested points. What will you choose? But before you can do anything and start to gain XP, you must create your character. Level 5. Naruto Uzumaki, civilian of Konoha. Available stat points, 36. Health points, 650 stamina points, 550 chakra points, 2000. Strength, 8. Constitution, 15. Dexterity, 9. Agility, 7. Intelligence, 4. Charisma, 2. Strength. Measure of how strong the character is. Physical power. Allows character to hit harder with melee weapons, carry heavier things. Constitution. Measure of how many hits a character can take. Allows character to be hit more, resist physical elements, bleeding, burning, broken bones, and disease, poison or sickness. Dexterity. Measure of a character's finesse and ability to use their hands. Allows a character to better utilize fine motor skills. Increases aim agility. Measure of a character's speed. Allows a character to move quicker and increases reaction time intelligence, a measure of how smart a character is. Allows a character to understand and learn things easier and faster. Charisma. A measure of how well you can influence those around you. Allows you to more easily influence others' status. -11 Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level. Allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP 50 SP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Perks 3 perk points. None. Skills. Observe LV. 1. One-tailed Jinchuriki form LV. 1. Beginner water manipulation Suiten LV. 15. Sealing Fuinjutsu LV. 15 inches Oh my kami. An. Thank you for reading. Next chapter will be out in 1 to 2 days. Shinigami Shinto Death God. Biju-tailed beast. San suffix that shows respect, could be used with an acquaintance. Sandame Hokage Third Fire Shadow. ANB. U acronym for the Japanese for Special Assassination and Tactical Squad. They are handpicked by the Hokage and carry out the highest level missions. Sama suffix that shows great respect, used with someone of a higher status. Professor a moniker given to the Sandame Hokage due to the large amount of jutsu he knows. Aburame a clan of Konoha known for using bug jutsu. Nara a clan of Konoha known for using shadow jutsu. Jutsu technique. Jutsu list. 1 Shunshin Japanese for body flicker, is a technique where the user travels long distances with near instantaneous speed. When using Shunshin, a user can mask their movements using an element or substance i.e. smoke, leaves, fire, water. The tutorial. Naruto and the game ch. 3. The tutorial text types. Narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina game text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demo. N thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina, before on Naruto and the game. Oh my kami. Third person POV narrator. Konoha. What is this? Kurama, have you ever seen anything like it? Naruto asked. Kit, I've not only never seen this before, but I don't think anyone else has ever seen this. I think I can interact with it like I did with the other menus. Naruto tested out his theory by pressing strength. The old translucent character menu was replaced by a new, blue one that said, would you like to add a point into strength? Y or N? Kurama, what should I do? Well, if the makers of this game are to be believed, then adding a point into any of these categories will improve in you in some way. So more strength would mean that you're stronger and more intelligence would make you smarter. Naruto's eyes widened as processed what his demon was saying. So if I really level up one of these stats, you could potentially become one of the strongest, smartest, or quickest people in the elemental nations. So should I put all 36 points into one category? No, you don't want to have your other stats much lower. You want to have a good balance so that you can do different things. For instance, if all your points in agility, then you won't be able to convince anyone to do anything or resist hits. Realization dawned on the blonde's face. So I should put a little bit into everything. Naruto mentally asked the demon. That's correct, Kit. I would put at least 4 points in every stat. Naruto nodded and turned to the blue screen. He contemplated how he should place points and what he should focus on. After placing the last stat point, his character sheet looked like this. Level 5. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konohagakure Health Points. 650 plus 50 equals 700. Stamina points. 550 plus 50 equals 600. Chakra points. 2000. Strength. 8 plus 7 equals 15. Constitution. 15 plus 5 equals 20. Dexterity. 9 plus 5 equals 14. Agility. 7 plus 5 equals 12. Intelligence. 4 plus 6 equals 10. Charisma. 2 plus 8 equals 10. Good, now that you have finished making your character, I can now explain the game's 2 basic systems. First is the leveling system. You level up by completing quests and killing enemies. Every 5 levels you are given 3 perk points to spend. Perks are permanent boosts that can do anything from giving abilities, to granting immunities, or even just increasing skill levels. Some perks can be morphed if you complete the prerequisites. For example, if you have a perk that grants resistance to all elements by 10, you may be able to morph it into a perk that grants 40 resistance to one element. Also, morphing requires no points to be spent. Another system in the game is the skill system. Skills are acquired through reading books, having them explained to you, or by practicing them. Your character might gain the running skill by running. You can also level up acquired skills by using them. So if you ran a mile, your running skill might increase. Some skills can also be morphed. For instance, if you have woodworking at LV 15, you might be able to morph it into intermediate woodworking, allowing you to level it up past LV 15 and make or repair intermediate level wood items. However, most combat skills C and only be leveled up if you have obtained the corresponding perk. So to level your fire manipulation past 15, you would have to get the basic fire mastery perk. Something else to note is that many skills are also ranked. 1 to 15 are basic. 16 to 25 are intermediate, 26 to 50 are advanced, 51 to 99 are master, and level 100 skills are godlike. After finishing reading, Naruto looked at the rest of his character sheet when something caught his eye. Kurama, it says here that I have 3 of those perk points to spend. Naruto mentally saw what happens if you press the perk button. Naruto pressed the button, and in a list of what Naruto now knew to be perks appeared. Many perks were either grayed out or had their names replaced with asterisks. However, there were 3 highlighted perks. They were Basic Water Mastery, Basic Seal Mastery, and Skin of the Lizard. After clicking on each one, the following pop-ups appeared. Basic Water Mastery decreases cost of water jutsu by 25, changes water manipulation. To intermediate level overridden by higher mastery perk, allows character to use intermediate 1 sweetened jutsu without any penalty to cost. Requires LV 15 water manipulation. Basic Seal Mastery decreases chance of basic seals failing to 10 and intermediate seals to 40, changes sealing to intermediate level overridden by higher mastery perk, allows character to use intermediate seals without any increase to seal malfunction rate. Requires LV 15 sealing. Skin of the Lizard adds ability. Skin of the Lizard can be morphed, and ability that allows the user to resist 20 of both elemental and physical attacks. Requires 20 Constitution. Naruto, I want you to get Basic Water Mastery before anything else. Why's that? Asked a puzzled Naruto. It's so that you can not only level up your sweetened skills, but also so that you can more easily use the jutsu that the Hokage will probably be bringing you tomorrow. The fox said. Okay, wait 1 second. Naruto clicked on Basic Water Mastery and the usual blue screen appeared. Would you like to obtain Basic Watery Mastery? Y or N? Naruto pressed Y and suddenly basic knowledge of how water techniques function entered his mind. Alright, now get B. Basic Seal Mastery, and save your other point. That ability isn't very useful right now. Naruto followed his instructions and obtained the Basic Seal Mastery perk that gave him a good idea on how seals work and some rudimentary knowledge of intermediate seal theory. Naruto backed out of the perk menu and returned to his character sheet. He looked over it once again, noting that he has an Observe skill. Naruto also noticed a button that said Confirm Changes. Naruto clicked yes, and suddenly another game message appeared. You are finally ready to go out into the world and are free to build your character however you want. More of these messages will pop up as you discover new things and systems. Good luck on your adventure. Naruto exited out of the menu and glanced at his clock. Hey Kurama, the time didn't change since we started customizing my character. It's the same time it was when I wanted to go to bed. Interesting. Naruto, I want you to go grab something light. This is important. Naruto hesitated, but went to the kitchen and grabbed the only clean fork in his apartment. Kurama, I swear if you don't explain what this abo, Naruto, I wouldn't ask you to do this if I didn't think it was worth it. Now I want you to throw the fork in the air and say, options, okay. Alright. Naruto answered. He threw the fork up into the air and repeated what he had done earlier. Options. As Naruto said the word, the fork froze in midair, and the options menu popped up once again. I guess you were right, Naruto. Time does appear to stop when you use a menu. Alright then, you can got to bed now. Oh, thank you for allowing me to go to bed, oh, mighty, Kyuubi. Naruto sarcastically replied. Don't push it, Kit. Good night to you too, furball. With a smile on his face, Naruto walked over to his worn bed and was greeted the same message as last time. Would you like to go to sleep to regain all HP health points, SP stamina points, and CP chakra points? Y or N? Naruto happily pressed Y and was greeted with a deep, dreamless sleep. Next day, third-person POV narrator Konoha. Naruto had never slept in his life like he did the night before. Maybe this game would be a good thing after all. Pushing all thoughts of going back to bed out of his mind, Naruto groggily crawled out of his sheets in search of the most important meal of the day, breakfast. He wandered into his pantry. Why and wondered what he was going to eat today. Today he was going to start learning how to become a ninja after all. Thus a great day needed to start with a great breakfast. There was only one problem. Naruto was dirt poor and currently only had expired ramen in his kitchen. He had no doubt in his mind that that particular problem would be remedied soon enough with the funds Gigi gave him, however. He currently had to make do with what he had available to him at the moment. As Naruto reached for the ramen package, a blue game message popped up. Quest. Make breakfast. Objectives. 1. Feed yourself before Gigi arrives in 1 hour. Reward. 100 XP. Accept. Y or N. Just as Naruto finished reading and accepted the quest, a new message appeared. Hello again, you have just discovered a new mechanic. You have unlocked the quests menu. Quests are jobs or tasks that can be either given to you or set for you by the game. They have one or more objectives and can even have bonus objectives. Bonus object. Ives will grant an additional reward when completed. Good luck and remember, we are always watching. Naruto unconsciously gulped as he read the last line. I wonder who these people are. I think they re the makers of the game, but what beings have they power to do things like stop time? Kid, if I may interrupt, whoever these people are, they are far beyond you and I. If they wanted to harm you in any way, there would be nothing you could do about it. It's no use to worry about something you have no control over, so you should just live your life and not dwell on it. Naruto nodded, understanding. Gee, the wisdom in the ancient demon's words. He dismissed the message and turned to the kitchen. Naruto pulled out a semi-clean pot, filled it with water, and left it to boil on the stove. Once it began to show signs of reaching its boiling point, he reached over to the ramen, tore open the package, and dumped its contents into the boiling water. Ping! Naruto jumped back in surprise, looking around for what made the noise. It turned out to be a game pop-up that read, "New skill created, cooking." So that's how it works. I wonder what other skills I can get. Naruto dismissed the green skill notification and pulled up his character sheet. He then scrolled down to the skill section and saw a new addition to his skills list. It said, Cooking LV 10. Upon clicking on the skill, its description read, Cooking. The skill governing your character's ability to prepare food. Naruto exited out of the menus and focused his attention on the ramen. He waited for when it was just right and turned off the fire. He poured the pot's contents into a bowl. Ping. A green skill notification popped up. Skill level up. Cooking LV 1 LV 2 1.05. Nice. First of many, right Kit? Oh, good morning Kurama. But yeah, you're right. Naruto turned to his bowl of food and devoured its contents. Ping. Quest complete. Make breakfast. Rewards. 100 XP. Naruto closed out of the quest menu and was confronted by another message. This time it was a blue message from the game. You have gotten your first experience points, or XP. XP is given through quests or winning fights and is the only way to level up. The amount of XP rewarded is based on the difficulty of the quest or the power of the enemy. Thus, you would gain a lot more XP by defeating a cage or escorting royalty than you would by defeating a 2-genin or walking a dog. Also, the amount of XP needed to level up increases every level. Good luck. Naruto opened his character sheet to see if anything had changed and saw a new bar next to his level. It said, LV. 51001000 XP. It seems that I only need 900 XP to level up. Naruto was shaken from his thoughts when he heard a knock coming from the door to his apartment. Naruto walked over to the door cautiously. He always had to be on guard, lest one of the villagers catches him unaware. He looked through the peephole and saw the Hokage in his full robes and hat. Naruto unlocked the door and greeted his grandfather figure. Hey Gigi, did you bring my jutsu? Naruto. Patience, my boy, he chuckled. I have decided to grant you your own training ground so that you won't be harassed by any ninja or civilians. Naruto's eyes widened, extremely surprised by the gift. Thank you Gigi. One question though, where is it? I am giving you the training ground located on Hokage Mountain. Naruto's jaw dropped. Hokage Mountain was a large plateau that overlooked the village. It also had the faces of all the Hokages carved into it. Gigi, how am I supposed to get there? A confused Naruto asked. After all, it was a giant landform that to his knowledge, had no natural or man-made way to get to the top. I'm going to Shunshin us there, said the aged Hokage with a smirk on his face. Beef. Or Naruto could ask what exactly a Shunshin was. The Hokage grabbed the boy's shoulder and they both appeared in what Naruto assumed to be the training ground. Naruto began to examine his surroundings. They were in a large flat clearing that had a small cabin. Behind them there was a small lake that was about 200 feet wide and about 300 feet long, and it was 20 feet deep in the lowest part. There was also a thick grove of trees on the far end of the clearing. Naruto, come here. Naruto finished examining his surroundings and turned to the old man. As Naruto neared him, the Hokage began to pull a piece of paper out of his robes. Slipping into his professor voice, Hiruzen explained what the paper was for. This, Naruto, is chakra paper. When you channel your chakra into this paper, it will react to it. The way that it reacts tells us what chakra nature you have. Kurama, what's chakra? Chakra, Kit, is an energy that runs through all living things. It is what allows you and I to live, and it also is what us Biju are made of. My brethren and I are just living masses of a condensed form chakra called demonic chakra. Okay, thanks. Naruto was brought back to T. He real world when he saw his Gigi yelling his name. Naruto, are you paying attention? Naruto had a sheepish look on his face. Sorry Gigi, I was distracted by something. It's alright, just make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, back to what I was saying. You need to channel your chakra into this paper. But first, you need to manifest it. And to do that you need to calm down or meditate. Naruto looked like he was about to object but hesitated. The only way to become strong enough to leave is to become a ninja. And if I need to meditate to do that, then meditate I will. Naruto kneeled down with a determined look on his face, closed his eyes, and listened to the world around him. Good Naruto. Now I want you to imagine the energy within yourself. Reach down into it, and grab it. Once you have it, I want you to pull it up and unleash it. Naruto followed the suggestions, and in a few moments he found what he believed to be his chakra. Now to unleash it, Naruto guided the energy out of what felt like every pore in his body. As soon as he did that, he felt a giant rush and felt a large wind around him. He opened his eyes and saw a shocking scene. There was a blue aura around him, all the grass within 5 feet of him was either blown back or burned. Naruto faced his Gigi, who had a shocked look on his face. Naruto let the chakra go. Quickly, Naruto obeyed and released the aura around him. The moment he did, he received 2 green game messages. Ping. New skill learned. Chakra control. Ping. New ability created. Chakra aura. Naruto quickly dismissed both notifications and was faced by another message. This time blue. Hello again. You have discovered another new mechanic. You now have the abilities section in your character sheet available to you. Abilities are techniques that you can use in battle. They can range from ninjutsu, to taijutsu, to plain old attacks. You gain abilities through invention, reading scrolls, or being taught. Abilities can be leveled up to become more effective or cost less chakra or stamina to use. Naruto closed this message and opened his character menu. It showed his new skill and ability, and that both were LV. 1. Naruto clicked on them both to read their description. Chakra control, the skill governing your character's ability to precisely manage and control their chakra. Chakra aura. Expel chakra from all the pores on your body. Temporarily grants plus 15 strength and plus 20 agility. Costs 200 CP per minute. As Naruto read the description of his new ability, his eyes widened. This practically doubles those stats. I could react, move, and hit about twice as fast. Naruto closed his character sheet and the very second time resumed. The Hokage ran over to Naruto so fast he left an afterimage. Naruto, are you okay? You just let out enough chakra to send a genin into chakra exhaustion. Naruto had a look of great confusion on his face. I only let out 200 CP. What do you mean, Gigi? I'm not even winded, Naruto said. Hi. Hiruzen began to examine the boy with a careful eye. How much chakra do you have? Muttered a befuddled Hokage. The Hokage once again pulled the chakra paper out. Alright, Naruto, now that you've unlocked your chakra, I want you to channel a small amount of chakra into this paper. Hiruzen walked over to Naruto with a very proud look on his face. Wow, Naruto, you have a very strong water affinity. I've decided to leave you scrolls for 4 Suiten jutsu, some basic jutsu, and a few chakra control exercises. I also left you a special jutsu because of your large reserves. Naruto hugged his Gigi with a huge smile on his face. Thank you so much. Now Naruto, the aged Kage had a very serious look on his face. I know about the villagers harassing you. And because of that I don't want you to avenue to go into the village unless you have to, so I took the liberty of installing a special seal here that my old student Jiraiya gave me. It's an advanced seal that allows you to teleport from seal A to seal B at will. All you need to do is channel a bit of chakra into it. This will be seal B and I already placed seal A your door when I knocked on it. Naruto took a moment to digest everything the Hokage had given him. Gigi, this is the greatest gift anyone's ever given me. Thank you, Naruto said, barely able to control himself from jumping up and down in happiness. The old man laughed. There's no need for thanks, my boy. All I want is that you try to be the best ninja you can be. And with that the Hokage left Naruto to his own devices. This is going to be the start of something great. Naruto's stat sheet. Level 5 1,001,000. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha health points. 650 plus 50 equals 700. Stamina points. 550 plus 50 equals 600. Chakra points. 2000. Strength. 8 plus 7 equals 15. Constitution. 15 plus 5 equals 20. Dexterity. 9 plus 5 equals 14. Agility. 7 plus 5 equals 12. Intelligence. 4 plus 6 equals 10. Charisma. 2 plus 8 equals 10. Status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Skills. Cooking LV. 1 new. Chakra control LV. 1 new abilities. Observe LV. 1. Chakra aura LV. 1 new. Water manipulation LV. 15 new. Sealing LV. 15 new perks. Basic water mastery new. Basic seal mastery new. 1 Suiten Japanese for water style. And next chapter will be out in 4 to 6 days. Thanks for reading and have an amazing day. Leveling. Naruto in the game ch. 4. Leveling. Text types. Narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Game text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human talking. G. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Na demon jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Before on Naruto in the game. This is going to be the start of something great. Third-person POV narrator Hokage Mountain Training Ground. Naruto was ecstatic as he looked at the bundle of scrolls in his arms. The Hokage had left mere moments ago, most likely to his office where a large stack of paperwork was waiting for him. Naruto looked around for an area to sit down and read. He decided a giant oak tree that was probably older than Konoha. Naruto sat down and put all but one of the scrolls on the ground next to him. It had been about a week since the last rain, so he didn't have to worry about them getting muddy. The scroll Naruto had in his hands was labeled, "One Henge." When Naruto moved to open the scroll, he was interrupted by a sound that was suddenly becoming very old. Ping! You have discovered your first skill book. As the gamer, you have the ability to instantly learn a technique or increase a skill by reading special books or scrolls called skill books. However, the book will be destroyed upon activation. Naruto read and dismissed the game message and once again tried open the Henge scroll. As Naruto fully opened the scroll, the words were fuzzy and he couldn't make anything out. He was beginning to question his vision when a green game message appeared. Ping! Would you like to learn Henge no Jutsu? Y or N? Naruto Age. RLY pressed yes, and as the scroll dissolved into ash, Naruto's mind was filled with the knowledge of the technique. But his joy at learning the technique was interrupted by yet another blue message. Ping! You have learned your first jutsu. Jutsu are ninja abilities that use either chakra or stamina. All jutsu have a rank. Higher rank typically means that the technique is stronger and is more chakra or stamina draining. The ranking starts with E at the lowest, followed by D, C, B, A, S, and then SS at the absolute highest. When compared to the perks, ED are basic, CB are intermediate, A is advanced, S is master, and SS is godly. Naruto read the message and wondered what rank his new technique was. He opened up his ability list and read the description. Henge no Jutsu LV. 1-0, a technique that allows the user to change their appearance using chakra. Note: it may be broken if someone forcefully touches or attacks the user. E rank. Hand seals. 1. Costs 2 CP per minute. After reading his new jutsu had a few ideas in his head. If I use the henge, I can sneak into stores to buy food. They wouldn't kick me out because to them I would just be another villager. With that thought, Naruto picked up the rest of the scrolls. In the next couple minutes, Naruto proceeded to learn all the jutsu and exercises Gigi had given him. He opened his ability menu and noticed that he could sort all his jutsu. He sorted his jutsu into General and Sweden. Naruto's jutsu list looked like this. General. Henge no Jutsu LV. 1-0. Kawarimi no Jutsu LV. 1-0. A technique that allows the user to switch H places with an object or another person. Note: cannot be used on objects that weigh more than the user. Cost for object: 10 CP. Cost for person: at least half of the person's CP. Hand seals. 1. E rank. -3 Bunshin no Jutsu LV. 1-0. A technique that creates intangible clones that cannot interact with the world, use chakra, or speak. They are primarily used as distractions. They create a puff of smoke when destroyed. Cost per clone 5 CP. Hand seals. 1. E rank. -4 Cage Bunshin LV. 1-0. An advanced Bunshin creates a tangible clone with its own consciousness, chakra pool, memory, and personality. Clones can take one solid hit before popping, but a strong enough attack can destroy them in one hit. Clones send all their memories and excess CP back to their creator upon death, and if enough clones send memories at the same time, it can give the user a headache or even knock them out. Cost per clone. Each clone divides the user's CP. So with one clone, the clone would have half of the creator's CP and the creator would have half. With 2 clones, each clone would have 1/3 and the user would have 1/3. Hand seals. 1. B rank. Sweden. -5 Sweden. Tepidama LV. 1-0. A water technique that fires water out of the user's mouth so fast it resembles a gunshot. More chakra used in the technique results in more water bullets. User can currently fire 5 bullets in one burst, and leveling the skill will increase the number. Note: doesn't require a source of water to be present. Cost: 75 CP per bullet. Base damage: 80 per bullet. Hand seals. 5. C rank. -6 Sweden. Suiro no Jutsu LV. 1-0. A watt technique that captures an enemy in a watery prison. The prison is filled with water and will eventually drown the opponent. Note: Requires a water source. Cost: 300 CP per minute. Hand seals: 15. C rank. -7 Sweden. Whirlwind no Jutsu LV. 1. 0. A water technique that forms a water dragon that crashes into the opponent. The dragon will explode upon impact and will leave water that can be used for other jutsu. Note: requires a water source. Cost per dragon: 500 CP. Base damage: 300. Hand seals: 45. B rank. -8 Sweden. Sujinhenki no Jutsu LV. 1. 0. A water technique that forms a wall made of the water. The wall can be straight across, a semicircle, or 360 degrees. Note: currently requires a water source but will not require one at higher levels. Cost per foot squared: 10 CP. Base defense: 400. Hand seals: 20. BA rank. Naruto was incredibly happy with his ability list. With Sweden alone he had long range covered with the Teppadama, medium range with the Whirlwind, close range with the Suiro, and a defensive move with the Sujinhenki. And with the E-rank jutsu in his possession he could hide, distract, and evade via the use of the henge, bunshin and kawarimi. As Naruto learned the last of his jutsu he turned to the last two scrolls. They were labeled leaf balancing and tree walking chakra control exercises. Naruto opened the leaf balancing scroll and was fully expecting to see the familiar pop up. He was disappointed when there was no message. Confused, Naruto tried to read the scroll and discovered that it was legible. I guess chakra control can't be learned from a scroll. With that thought in mind, Naruto read the scroll and learned what exactly the leaf balancing exercise was. It was invented to give new ninja a way to practice and learn chakra control. It revolved around using your chakra to get a leaf to stick to your forehead. If you used too much chakra you would blow the leaf off your head. Too little and it wouldn't stick. It's all about balance, Naruto muttered out loud. He decided to test the technique and picked up one of the many leaves on the ground near him. He placed it on his head and tried to channel chakra into it as the scroll had instructed. However, appeared the boy used too much and the leaf shot off of his head. Naruto tried the same with another leaf, this time using far less chakra. It seemed that this time there wasn't enough chakra and the leaf wouldn't stick. Determined to complete the exercise, Naruto used a larger amount of chakra than before but less than the first time. To his joy the green leaf stuck to his head. However, his concentration was broken and the leaf fell off of his forehead. Before Naruto could pick up another leaf he was interrupted by a familiar sound. Ping. Skill level up. Chakra control LV. 1 LV. 2-0. Naruto was surprised that he gained a level up so easily but decided that it was most likely that he gained more experience when he first uses something. For the next 5 minutes Naruto practiced leaf lancing again, but it took 5 minutes to level up again as opposed to instantly. Hey Kit, I was thinking about the cage bunshin technique. It says that it can transfer memory when they dispel. If that is true, then you can have clones practice techniques along with you. When they dispel you will gain their memory and therefore their understanding of a technique. But before you do that, know this. Ever leave yourself with less than 25 CP. Any lower than that and you could suffer from chakra exhaustion. Thanks for the advice Kurama, but I have a question. What's chakra exhaustion? Well Kit, chakra exhaustion is something that happens when you use too much of your body's chakra. It's essentially using up all the fuel in your body, which can lead to passing out, to even death in extreme cases. Because of that I want you to make 3 clones so that you will all have 500 CP. Quote. Naruto nodded and tried to make 3 clones as the fox had suggested. He visualized the cage bunshin technique in his MMED, the necessary hand seal. As he molded his chakra, 3 identical copies of him appeared next to him. Ping. Ability level up. Cage bunshin LV. 1 LV. 225. Wow. Can you guys talk? No, stupid. We use sign language. The clone in the middle mockingly said. Why are you so mean to him, man? It's making me want to cry, the one on the right said before bursting into tears. Yeah, how dare you talk to our creator like that? He is our god, the one on the left said. To say that Naruto was confused was an understatement. He understood that the clones had their own personalities, but this was ridiculous. The mean one was glaring at him. The crying one was crying. The third one looked at Naruto's face like he was one of the kami. Alright, I'm going to name you three to make this easier on myself. Left me, your new name is Devout. Devout looked like it was his birthday, Christmas, and he just won the lottery. Thank you, master. You're welcome. Now, middle me, your name will be Akuma. Akuma scowled, but Naruto could tell that he was pleased with his name. Alright, right me, your name will be Cry. Cry sniffled and looked up at Naruto. That's not very creative. He then burst into tears once more. Who makes the orders around here? Me. Now, I want you three to practice the henge, kawarimi, and the bunshin until you're out of chakra. Simply dispel when you have less than 20 CP. The three clones nodded and set off to do their tasks. Naruto had decided to wait for his chakra to replenish itself. However, he ended up falling asleep. An hour into his rest he as awoken by one of the clones dispelling, which gave Naruto all of their memories. Ping. Ability level up. Bunshin no Jutsu LV. 1 LV. 5 MAX. Wow, that's cool. Ping. Hello, you have just maxed out your first ability. When maxed out, abilities will cost 50 less and some will allow you to increase things like range, speed, or damage. Interested, Naruto opened his ability menu. The bunshin now costs 2.5 CP and required no hand seals. While Naruto was in the menu he glanced at his CP pool and saw that it was full. I guess sleep filled up my CP. With full chakra reserves he exited the menu and glanced at the two clones. How much chakra do you two have? They answered with 30 and 25. All right then, just dispel. The clones followed their master's orders and dispelled, sending their knowledge to the blonde 12-year-old. Ping. Ability level up. Henge LV. 1 LV. 5 max ping. Ability level up. Kawarimi. LV.1 LV. 5 max. Naruto once again opened up his menu and went to the abilities list. The henge now costs 1 CP per minute and was much harder to detect and dispel. The kawarimi costs 5 CP for an object and 1/4 of a person's CP. He could also use both without hand seals. Good job, Kit. Acess. Than 2 hours of being here and you've already maxed out 3 abilities. Since you maxed out the henge, I want you to have a clone use it on itself. Tell it to henge into a villager and go buy groceries. Give him about 400 ryo and make sure that he buys healthy things as well as a cookbook. I'm pretty sure that you could use the book in tandem with your cooking skill to make some good food. One hi sensei. Naruto cut the connection and followed the fox's orders. In Naruto's mind the Kyuubi was thinking to itself. Sensei. I like it. For the first time in a long while, the chakra fox smiled. You've got one interesting kid, Minato. Naruto, oblivious to his tenant's thoughts, was busy forming a clone. Now I want you to henge into some random person and go into town. I want you to be you. A good variety of food as well as a cookbook. The clone obeyed and henged into an older man with black hair and olive skin. The clone walked over to the transportation seal and disappeared in a flash of light. Naruto checked his reserves and saw that he had 1000 CP. Naruto looked up at the sky and could tell that it was around noon. He would practice here until around 3, head home to eat, and tea. Hen returned to train for the rest of the day. Naruto formed 3 other clones with 250 CP each. Ping. Ability level up. Cage Bunshin LV. 2 to 360. Alright, we're going to practice balancing leaves for about an hour. After that I'll have you guys dispel. The clones nodded and grabbed leaves. Because they share Naruto's memories they all knew how to properly do the exercise. When the hour was up original Naruto alone had leveled up chakra control to LV. 5. When he had the other clones dispel he was faced with a familiar sound as well as a new pop-up. Ping. Skill level up. Chakra control LV. 5 LV. 100. Note. The leaf balancing exercise cannot further level up chakra control. A more advanced technique is needed. A more advanced exercise. The tree walking exercise. Naruto ran over to the tree where he had left the scroll on leaf balancing. The scroll on the tree walking exercise was right next to it. Naruto opened it and scanned the contents. The exercise actually had a use besides chakra control practice. It allowed ninja to fight upside down by allowing them to walk on any flat surface. It even mentioned a more advanced technique that let ninja walk on water. Eager to begin, Naruto placed one foot on the tree. He tried to follow the same logic he used with the leaf balancing. Too much chakra and he would get launched off the tree. Too little and he wouldn't stick. Naruto checked his reserves and saw that after an hour they were full. Because of that he made 7 clones at once, each of them had 250 CP. Alright gentlemen, everyone pick a tree, I want to level Chakra control to its max in less than 2 hours. The clones scattered, each of them choosing a different tree. After an hour Naruto stopped to see how all the clones were doing. They did fairly well and most could reach the top of the giant trees. Naruto himself had leveled up chakra control twice and his chakra pool had replenished, so he made another batch of 7 clones. Ping. Ability level up. Cage Bunshin LV. 3 to 480. Dismissing the message, Naruto gave the clones their orders. They were sent to go and practice with the other Cage Bunshins. Once the second hour was done, Naruto examined his progress. He had only leveled the skill once and could see that it was going to take longer and longer. However, he was quite impressed by his own ability. He could easily run up and down the tree, but he was quite sure that fighting was out of the question. He would see how he fared when he dispelled the copies. Guys, he called, pop yourselves. Some of the clones weren't happy with the new order, but they obeyed nonetheless. Ping. Skill level up. Chakra control LV. 13250. Note. The tree walking exercise cannot further level up chakra control. A more advanced technique is needed. I did it. Naruto cheered out loud. My chakra control is so high. I wonder what its description says right now. With curiosity in hand, Naruto opened his skill list and pulled up chakra control. It read, Chakra control. The skill governing your character's ability to precisely manage and control their chakra. Allows use of basic to advanced exercises. Naruto, do you remember when I told you to save the perk point, right? Well, now I want you to see what you can get. Hi. Naruto opened up the perk list and saw that he had more perks available. There were many perks, but 2 stood out to him. These were the perks. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu. Boosts Fuinjutsu effectiveness by 100, and grants 2 new Uzumaki seals. Requires sealing LV. 15. Chakra control LV. 25. Uzumaki lineage. Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu. Boosts Uzumaki Suiden effectiveness by 100. And grants 2 new Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu. Requires water manipulation LV. 15. Chakra control LV. 25. Uzumaki lineage. Naruto decided that he was going to obtain the Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu perk. With the perk, his Suiden Jutsu would be twice as strong and he would gain 2 of his family's jutsu. It was perfect. Naruto clicked on the perk and obtained it. Ping. New ability. 9 Uzumaki Suiden. Uzu. Ping. New ability. 10 Uzumaki Suiden. Mizu no Tatsumaki. Naruto instantly opened up the ability sheet and scrolled to the 2 additions. Uzumaki. An ancient Suiden technique created by the Uzumaki of 2 Uzugakure. Forms a whirlpool in a body of water that can be used to pull in enemies or drown them. Costs. 200 CP per 10 feet of diameter. Hand seals. 15. CB rank. Uzumaki Suiden. Mizu no Tatsumaki LV. 1. 0. An ancient Suiden technique created by the Uzumaki of Uzugakure. Creates a large waterspout from a body of water. Naruto felt great. He had more than 10 varied and useful techniques. He would finally be able to make good food, and he had some of his his family's special jutsu. All in all, today was pretty great. Naruto realized that his clone was probably waiting for him at home and that he was starving. Naruto walked over to the tree with the transport seal on it. Channeling a bit of chakra into it, Naruto was whisked away to the front door of his apartment. Upon opening the door, Naruto was greeted by his clone that was cleaning up the apartment. Hey boss, all of the food is in the fridge or pantry. Thanks, but why are you sweeping? Naruto asked the clone. Because cleaning is my passion. Chores are the best thing in the world. Pop. The clone suddenly exploded into smoke. Ping. Ability level up. Suiden. Tepidama LV. 1 LV. 2 Naruto. Yes. Did you just obliterate my clone with the Tepidama? Yes. He was talking crazy. Okay. Thought the ancient being. I don't think my host is very sane, Kurama thought to himself. Ignorant of his demon doubting his sanity, Naruto walked into his kitchen to prepare a meal. I have enough food for a week. This is great. Naruto made a mental note to once again thank the Hokage when he next sees him. Looking around the room, Naruto noticed that there was a cookbook on the counter. It was titled Cooking Recipes for Idiots. Upon opening the book, Naruto saw a game pop up. Would you like to use the skill book? Y or N? When Naruto chose yes, another pop-up appeared. Skill level up. Cooking LV. 1 LV. 11 new crafting recipes gained. 50 cooking. Naruto dismissed the message and walked over to the fridge with a grin on his face. In his mind he was imagining a meal he frequently saw people eating in the village's many restaurants. Miso soup, a simple meal made with dashi and miso paste. Focusing on the thought of miso soup, he mindlessly began choosing ingredients. When he was done, he brought them over to the stove and put them in a boiling pot of water. After waiting a few minutes, with a few stops to stir the soup, Naruto poured it into a bowl and grabbed a spoon. With a quick prayer of thanks, Naruto dug into his meal. His mouth was filled with flavor. The ingredients had come together to make a delicious broth. Quickly finishing his meal, Naruto glanced at an old clock in the room and saw that it was nearing 3:30 p.m. Leaving the bowl in the sink to clean later, Naruto ran out his door and activated the seal. Materializing back in the training ground, Naruto walked over to the lake. He sat down by the water's edge and thought about what jutsu he was going to practice first. He decided that the Tepidama would be the best thing to level right now because it cost the least amount of chakra and it dealt a fair amount of damage. Naruto was going to level up the jutsu by hitting targets that he set up around the lakeshore and in the forest. After setting up some wooden dummies he found in the cabin, Naruto did some quick math in his head. Since each bullet cost 75 CP, so he could fire about 26 without risking chakra exhaustion. When he was ready to begin, Naruto walked up to the targets. Imagining the technique in his mind, Naruto's hands began to fly through hand seals. Sweden. Tepidama. When Naruto finished his hand seals, he opened his mouth and 5 water bullets flew out. Each one met their mark and smashed the wooden targets to pieces. Ping. Ability level up. Sweden. Tepidama LV. 2 LV. 537. Naruto checked his ability to see if the ability had been upgraded and was pleasantly surprised. The jutsu now dealt 90 damage instead of 80, cost 70 CP instead of 75. Required 3 hand seals instead of 5, and let him fire 10 gunshots in one burst. For the rest of the afternoon Naruto would level up the Tepidama, rest and regain his chakra, then resume training. It took nearly 4 hours, but Naruto leveled up the Tepidama to its max level of 15. Its description currently read: Sweden, Tepidama LV. 20. Max, a water technique that fires water out of the user's mouth so fast it resembles a gunshot. More chakra used in the technique results in more water bullets. User can currently fire 25 bullets in one burst. Note: doesn't require a source of water to be present. Cost: 50 CP per bullet. Base damage: 130 per bullet. Hand seals: none. C rank. Naruto was very impressed by his fully leveled ability and how much stronger it was now than before. Naruto: this technique is far more effective than the unleveled version. What this shows is that leveling up your abilities could drastically improve them. Because of that I want you to go to bed and then master all of your techniques between now and the next week. Hi. Naruto cut the connection with the demon and began to walk towards the seal. Right as he was going to activate the seal he stopped. He could hear loud cheering coming from the foot of the mountain. Ping. Quest: investigate the loud villagers. Objectives: 1. Learn why the villagers are making so much noise. 2. 3. Reward: 1500 XP. Accept. Y or N. Without hesitation Naruto accepted the mission. Are you sure you aren't being rash? What if ninjas see you? A concerned Biju asked. It's all right sensei, I have a Chakra pool so I can use the Teppadama if I need to. If that doesn't work I can just make a bunch of regular bunchins to distract them so that I can escape. Alright, but I still have a bad feeling about this. Ignoring the Chakra being's concerns, Naruto walked closer to the cliff edge. Channeling Chakra to his feet just like he did with the tree climbing exercise, Naruto slowly walked down the side of cliff. When he became confident enough his walk shifted from slow steps to an all-out dash down the vertical drop of Hokage Mountain. The rush of the wind, the speed, the view, everything aimed together to create an incredible experience. Sadly, all good things must come to an end and this one switched from good to horrifying in a matter of moments. As Naruto reached the bottom of the mountain he could hear some of what the crowd was saying. Go back to hell, quick, kill it before it can get back up. Before anyone could say anything else an ear-shattering cry of some kind of animal was heard. Everyone in the crowd including Naruto was forced to cup their hands over their ears. When the animal's cry died down, Naruto ran up the wall of a nearby building to get a better vantage point to see what was at the center of the crowd. When Naruto turned and looked he saw something that shocked him. There was a crab 8 feet tall and about 12 feet wide. It was turquoise, with dark blue lines around its eyes and at the ends of its feet and pincers. It had ropes covering its body, which were held by about 20 villagers. The crab also had a large array of sharp objects impaled into its shell. There were other men holding makeshift spears and harpoons that were trying to kill the giant crab. Kid, you have to stop them. That's no animal, that's a summon. It probably ran of chakra. If you don't do anything they could permanently hurt and scar it. All right sensei. Naruto took a quick second to decide how he would approach the crowd. When he decided what he was going to do he grew a savage smile on his face. Naruto hanged into a tiger-sized Kyuubi and used the chakra aura with another henge to make the chakra blood red. Kit, before you jump down I want you to read out all your chakra and focus any anger you have into the crowd. Naruto jumped down in front of the giant crab and spread out the mix of chakra and anger into the crowd before roaring as loud as could. To say that the crowd was scared was an understatement. The demon is back. It's going to kill us all. The entire crowd dispers minutes. Ping. New ability. Killing intent LV. 1. 0 ping. Ability level up. Killing intent LV. 1 LV. 6-10 inches I guess scaring the whole crowd super leveled the ability. Rapidly exiting the message and opening the ability tab, Naruto checked what exactly killing intent was. Killing intent LV. 6-10. Killing intent, or ki, is a technique that allows a user to intimidate a target with a mix of their anger, chakra, and intent to kill them. Can be used to scare away an enemy or make someone with a weak will freeze mid-battle. Exiting out of the menu and resuming time, the unhanged Naruto walked over to the terrified crab. As Naruto neared the summon, as Kurama called it, he could hear its cries slowly becoming understandable. Naruto, I've made a mental link so you can understand it. Thanks sensei. Heal LLP. The giant crab slowly let out. It's alright buddy, Naruto said as he slowly stuck his hand out. The crab eyes slowly opened and quickly widened when he caught a glimpse of Naruto. Don't hurt me, I didn't do it. I'm sorry. The crab kept continuously muttering that it wasn't his fault and that he was sorry. Buddy, I'm going to need you to calm down so I can remove the rope and weapons. The crab obeyed and remained still while Naruto removed everything, only moving when something was pulled out of his shell. Thank you human, I had no idea what would have happened if you hadn't arrived. I was injured and the pain didn't let me focus enough to teleport back to Kowloon. Kowloon? Naruto questioned with a confused look on his face. Kowloon is the world where the creatures you ninja call summons live. Okay. Well it's nice to meet you. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. What's yours? The crab looked at Naruto with a look of great shock on his face. Did you just say Uzumaki? Now it was Naruto's turn to be confused. Yeah, I'm the son of Uzumaki Kushina. She was a ninja from Uzugakure. You're Kushina-sama's son. That means that you're part of the Uzu royal line. Quick, we need to get out of here, those villagers might come back some friends. Do you have a place where we can talk in private? Yeah, can you walk up vertical surfaces? Naruto replied, wondering how the giant crab was going to climb the mountain. Yes, master. Just point where we need to go. By the way, Uzumaki-sama, my name is Kanemizu. The newly named Kanemizu said. Nice to meet you, Kanemizu. Also, you don't have to be so respectful, I'm not really a fan of honorifics. Just call me Naruto, the boy said to the much larger creature. Now, I want you to follow me. Naruto managed to slowly lead the crab to the training grounds lake. By now it was about 9 p.m. and the village was very alive. Even from the top of the mountain you could still hear and see the giant mob that Naruto had previously dispersed. They were scared off, but they were back with a vengeance. From the Hokage mountain Naruto could see that the mob was scouring the village and looking through every alley for Kanemizu. Speaking of the large crab, Kanemizu was resting in the lake. Kanemizu said that he needed to regain his chakra and said that summons would replenish their chakra reserves far quicker when they were in the presence of their element. Young master, Naruto jumped as the crab spoke from behind him. I have recovered a sufficient amount to talk. Now, first things first. You, Naruto, are an Uzumaki. That means that you are the heir to the royal line of Uzu. If Uzu wasn't tragically destroyed, then you would eventually become the Mizukage. Wait, Uzu was destroyed? A distraught and shocked Naruto asked. Yes, young master, though the ninja of Uzu were quite formidable, they were destroyed by a. Naruto had many emotions running through his head. Sadness at his family village's destruction. Pride at how long they lasted against 3 of the 5 great ninja villages. After taking a quick moment to sort out these emotions, he motioned for the crab to continue speaking. All right, as I going saying before, all the Uzumaki held one contract, while the clan head held both. Due to your family's untimely end, you are now the clan head. Because of that, on behalf of my clan I am offering you the chance to sign the Kani clan summoning contract. Do you accept? With more than a little pride and excitement Naruto answered. I do. Even though Kanemizu didn't have lips to make a smile, Naruto could tell the large creature was pleased. Then here is the contract. And with that, the crab moved his pincer over what Naruto assumed to be a seal. The seal glowed blue, and a scroll appeared in the crab's pincers. Here you go, young master. Simply bite your thumb hard enough to draw blood and place it on a blank line. Upon reading the list of names on the scroll, Naruto could see that they were all Uzumakis. Drawing blood, Naruto placed his finger on the line and saw that it left a fingerprint the color of blood, and it had the words Uzumaki Naruto next to it. Ping. New status unlocked. Kani clan summoner. All right, master, I want you to use the following hand seals and perform a jutsu. It's called the 11 Kuchiyos no Jutsu. Naruto performed the necessary seals and slammed his hands on the ground, pushing about 400 CP into it. Ping. New ability. Kuchiyos no Jutsu LV. 1. A large puff of smoke appeared, and when it cleared, a large, 15 feet tall crab appeared. This crab was brown with its feet as well as its body paint. Kanemizu, is that you? How did you summon me? It's been a while, Kyogeki. But no, it wasn't me who called you here. It was the boy next to me. He is Kushina-sama's son. His name is Naruto. Kyogeki looked at Naruto with the eyes of a hawk. This brat is the new clan head. He looks pretty weak to me. Naruto was getting agitated. You don't think that I'm your new summoner? The crab let out a loud laugh out of his small mouth. I guess the brat has some spark. But no, I don't. If you want to be our summoner, then you have to talk to the clan boss. Kyogeki smugly said. Kanemizu looked shocked. Kyogeki, how can you ask the boy to summon the boss right now? You know how much chakra it takes to summon you. How could he possibly have enough to summon the boss? Naruto looked confused. It really didn't take that much chakra. I still have about 3/4 of my chakra pool left. Both crabs turned to Naruto with incredulous looks. How much chakra do you have? They both yelled at the same time. Naruto didn't answer them and checked his character. He had 1700 CP, so he was going to pump 1500 CP into the Kuchiyos. Ignoring the crab's questions, Naruto walked towards the lake and performed the Kuchiyos. Kuchiyos no Jutsu. When Naruto's hands touched the ground, a giant plume of smoke appeared. From behind him, Naruto could hear Kyogeki say, the brat did it. Naruto's stat sheet. Level 5 1,001,000. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha Health Points, 700. Stamina Points, 600. Chakra Points, 2000. Strength, 15. Constitution, 20. Dexterity, 14. Agility, 12. Intelligence, 10. Charisma, 10. Status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki Lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing. Allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani Clan Summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Skills. Cooking LV. 1115. Chakra Control LV. 25-0 Abilities. Observe LV. 10. Chakra Aura LV. 125. Water Manipulation LV. 15-0. Sealing LV. 15-0 Jutsu. General. Henge no Jutsu LV. 5. Max Nu. Kawarimi no Jutsu LV. 5. Max Nu. Bunshin no Jutsu LV. 5. Max Nu. Cage Bunshin LV. 4. 90 Nu. Kuchio's no Jutsu LV. 1. 0 Nu. Sweden. Sweden. Teppadama LV. 20. Max Nu. Sweden. Suiro no Jutsu LV. 1. 0 Nu. Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu LV. 1. 0 Nu. Sweden. Sujinhenki no Jutsu LV. 1. 0 Nu. Uzumaki Sweden. Uzu LV. 1. 0 Nu. Uzumaki Sweden. Mizu no Tatsumaki LV. 1. 0 Nu Perks. Basic Water Mastery. Basic Seal Mastery. Uzumaki Sweden Jutsu Nu. Hi. Yes. Uzugakure Village Hidiragakure Village hidden in the mist. Iwagakure Village hidden in the rocks. Kumogakure Village hidden in the clouds. Kani Crab. Kamome Seagull. 1 Henge no Jutsu Transformation Technique 2 Kawarimi no Jutsu Replacement Technique 3 Bunshin no Jutsu Clone Technique 4 Cage Bunshin no Jutsu Shadow Clone Technique 5 Sweden. Teppadama no Jutsu Water Release. Gunshot 6 Sweden. Suiro no Jutsu Water Release. Water Prison. 7 Student. Suiryuden no Jutsu Water Release. Water Dragon Bullet 8 Su. Iton. Sujinhenki no Jutsu Water Release. Water Formation Wall. 9 Uzumaki Sweden. Uzu Whirlpool Water Release. Whirlpool. 10 Uzumaki Sweden. Mizu no Tatsumaki Whirlpool Water Release. Water Spout. Anne. I apologize for the long wait for this chapter, but my computer hasn't been working. I've found a workaround and the next chapter will come out next Sunday. The only reason this is coming out on a Thursday is that I haven't posted in a while. If you have any questions or suggestions, then PM me. Thanks for reading and have a wonderful day. P.S. Please vote on the poll on my profile. It will decide what 2 weapons Naruto will use. Fights in New Worlds. Naruto in the game. Ch. 5. Fights in New Worlds. Text types. Narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina game text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human Taki. Ing. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human Thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human Jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon Talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon Thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Mach. Ina Demon Jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Before on Naruto in the game. Kuchio's no Jutsu. When Naruto's hands touched the ground, a giant plume of smoke appeared. From behind him, Naruto could hear Kyogeki say, "The brat did it." Third-person POV narrator Hokage Mountain Training Ground. As the thick, 50 feet tall tower of smoke dissipated, Naruto could vaguely make out a large shape. Did it work? Suddenly the smoke. The giant examined Naruto for a moment before doing something that surprised our hero. "Prove yourself," the Kani clan boss said. And with those 2 words he brought down a giant pincer. Out of pure instinct, Naruto used the Kawarimi to replace himself with a large stick. Ping. +1 agility for quick movement. Dismissing the menu, he looked behind him and saw that the stick was smashed into splinters. Making Naruto was very glad that he chose to master the Kawarimi. If he hadn't moved, that blow would have surely killed him. What are you doing? Naruto yelled at the crab. Testing you in the same way every Uzumaki clan head has been tested. Trial through combat. If you survive for 30 minutes, then I will accept you as the Kani clan summoner. Gaining a determi. Ned look on his face. Naruto readied himself. Kurama, I'm going to need more chakra. I barely have 500 CP to survive against the leader of a clan that helped fend off ninja from 3 hidden villages at once. Naruto mentally yelled at the giant fox. Alright kid, calm yourself. I'm going to lend you some demon chakra. But before that, there's some things you should know about being a Jinchuriki. If your Biju lends you chakra, it will quickly send you into a berserker-like state if you don't focus. My chakra will automatically give you what is known as a tailed beast cloak. The more tails you have in this state shows how much chakra I've given you. As the Kyuubi, I can give a maximum of 9 tails of demonic chakra. The one Ikibi can give his host 1 tail. Each tail I give you can potenti ally rip your body to shreds due to the sheer amount of. As Kurama talked, Naruto kept dodging swipes from the large crab. The giant was swinging faster and faster, and Naruto was beginning to get worried. I'll do it, sensei. This thing might kill me if I don't. Alright, let's start with half a tail. Naruto was suddenly filled with the greatest rush of his life. He felt like he could do anything. Ping. New ability. Tailed Beast Cloak LV. 1. Rapidly opening his ability sheet, Naruto scrolled to the new addition. Tailed Beast Cloak LV. 1. 70. Allows the user to use the demonic chakra of their Biju. Covers the user in a cloak of demonic chakra that grants vastly increased regeneration and increases strength and agility by 20. Each tail grants 3000 CP. Max tails. 0.5. Naruto looked at his chakra pool and saw that he had 21,002,000 CP. I'm over the limit. Naruto was brought from his thoughts by a new message. Ping. You have discovered a new mechanic, chakra overload. It is the opposite of chakra exhaustion, but is equally as dangerous. It happens when someone uses an outside source to contain more chakra in their body than their reserves allow. Major injuries can take place if the excess chakra isn't expelled within 30 minutes. If the excess chakra is expelled, then it is unlikely that you will be injured. If you still have excess chakra for more than 30 minutes, then you will die because of your chakra reserves exploding. Note, your body will never make too much chakra for you to contain. I guess that just means that I have to use my chakra quickly. Exiting out of the menu and dodging another attack, Naruto weighed his options. Dodging a large tree being launched at him, Naruto decided on his plan of attack. Rapidly forming 9 clones, Naruto ordered them to scatter and distract the large summon. Running around to different areas surrounding the crustacean and yelling at the giant, they managed to momentarily draw its attention away from their creator. Standing on a vantage point deep into the forest, Naruto deactivated the Biju cloak. The boy could see that the crab was slowly getting frustrated. The crab could easily plow through a 10-foot thick stone wall. But Naruto's clones were just quick enough to dodge its blows. The crab seemed as if it was getting agitated after missing all of its attacks. Naruto saw that the crab had stopped moving and attacking the clones. What is it doing? The boss crab was lifting up a large amount of water from the nearby lake. Naruto's eyes widened. I forgot. He's the leader of a clan of Sweden users. The water from the lake was being shaped into a large ribbon-like shape. The ribbon was sent through the forest, slashing through all of the clones, and a large amount of clones were all popped and returned their chakra to Naruto. Kurama, how long have we been fighting? About 25 minutes. You only have 5 more to go. Naruto gathered his chakra and formed 1 shadow clone and ordered it to use all of its chakra and create 50 regular clones. Scatter. Half of them jumped into different trees within the forest while the other half were running on foot towards the crab. The intangible clones managed to capture the beast's attention for a few minutes, but it seemed to have caught on to Naruto's plan. Foolish boy, I am the Kani clan head. Mere bunchins won't beat me. The gargantuan crab bellowed. It lifted up one of its legs and slammed it on the ground. The ground suddenly began to rise and shift into a vaguely humanoid shape. While it was shaped like a man, it was most definitely not one. It was over 30 feet tall, faceless, and looked like it was shaped from a combination of soil and rock. Kit, that's an earth golem. It has enough strength to turn your body into a stain. It also has incredible earth manipulation. Be very careful. All right, sensei. How much time is left? Less than a minute, Naruto. Just avoid the golem and you'll be fine. Heeding his inner demon's advice, Naruto ran in the opposite direction of the golem. But before Naruto could run more than 10 feet, he was sent flying out of his tree. He quickly got up and looked to see what had struck him. The golem was in front of him, standing on a large, floating rock. The trial is over, the giant crab yelled, after hearing that Naruto let out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. Soon the giant could be seen lumbering through the trees towards Naruto. The beast seemed to be pleased, and once he was within 100 feet from Naruto, it pointed towards the golem with a giant pincer. Suddenly, the massive, animated earth creation that nearly killed Naruto mere moments ago was a pile of rocks and dirt. Walking out from behind the giant tree, Naruto cautiously walked towards the crab, unsure if he would be attacked. The crab, on the other hand, was fearlessly lumbering towards Naruto. The crab called out to Naruto, "Young Uzumaki, you've proved to be worthy of your family name. You are worthy. Summon all members of my clan. If you have any other questions, then ask Kanemizu. I'm going to return to Kowloon. If you need anything from me, then simply call my name when using the Kuchio's no jutsu. Goodbye." And with that, the giant crab left Naruto to pick his jaw up off of the ground. I'm officially the clan head. An excited Naruto thought to himself. Ping. New title. Uzumaki Clan Head. Flying through various menus, Naruto found and clicked on his newly acquired status. Uzumaki Clan Head. Allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives +20 to water manipulation and sealing. Perks morphed. Basic Water Mastery Intermediate, and Basic Seal Mastery Intermediate. Awesome. Another title. Plus I have a 50 in water manipulation and a 35 in sealing, Naruto cheered in his head. While Naruto sat down to cool down and process what just happened, he was interrupted by a message. Ping. Quest complete. Investigate the loud villagers. Objectives. 1. Learn why the villagers are making so much noise. 2. Save Kanemizu. 3. Complete Daikani's trial. Reward. 1500 XP. Bonus reward. 5 perk points, knowledge of 4 seals, Chakra ink, handwriting skill book LV. 15. Rusty katana, Kenjutsu 1 skill book LV. 15. Uzu Kenjutsu style skill book LV.15. After ecstatically reading through his completion screen, Naruto learned 2 things. First, that the clan head was called Daikani, and that quest rewards were incredible. After Naruto exited of the pop-up, and other 2 appeared in his face. Ping. Level up level 6. Quest rewards placed in inventory. Quickly opening his inventory, Naruto instantly absorbed all of the soil books and left the weapon in his inventor. Ping. Skill created. Handwriting. Skill level up. Handwriting, LV. 1 LV. 15-0. Skill created. Kenjutsu. Skill level up. LV. 1 LV. 15. Kenjutsu sub-skill created. Uzu Kenjutsu style. Skill level up. Uzu Kenjutsu style, LV. 1 LV. 15. New seals. Explosive seal D, weight seal C, storage seal C, chakra seal C. Shocked by the sheer number of new things, Naruto took a minute to examine them all. From what he read, he learned that everything was quite self-explanatory. Handwriting showed his, handwriting. Kenjutsu determined his skill with blades. And currently read like this. Kenjutsu. The skill governing the use of weapons with blades such as katanas, axes, and knives. Other styles can be mimicked with 15 accuracy. It also had a sub-skill, which Naruto determined was a skill within another skill. It was the Uzu Kenjutsu style. Its description said this. Uzu Kenjutsu style, the skill governing the E of the ancient Kenjutsu style of Uzugakure. Focuses on rapid takedown of a group and quickly moving on to the next. Damage bonus. 15. Available moves. Whirling cut, tide slash, blade of Uzu. Naruto quickly pressed on and read about all his new moves. Whirling cut was a 360 slash that dealt base sword damage plus 250, plus an additional 3 feet of range and 100 points of damage for every additional 50 CP channeled into the blade. It has a base cost of 150 SP and 200 CP. Tide Slash is a special move that can only be used on the water. The user dips the tip of the blade into the water, then Mach EA slicing motion in the direction of the target. It results in a large crescent of water being sent towards the target. Deals 400 damage and has a base range of 20 feet. Every 100 CP of addition Al Chakra channeled into the blade gives 10 more feet of range and 200 bonus damage. Base cost is 300 CP. His final move Blade of Uzu surround the blade with a fast-moving tornado of water that deals 300 bonus damage on sword strikes. 200 bonus damage and 2 feet of length are added to the blade for every 250 CP of extra chakra. Its base cost is 200 SP and 400 CP. While happy about having another thing to use in close quarters, Naruto was most excited about his new seals. The first seal was the explosive seal, a commonly used seal that causes a small explosion when chakra is channeled to it. After that was the weight seal, a seal that when applied to a target, increases the force of gravity on them. The amount of weight can be manipulated, thus allowing the seal to be used for not only combat but strength training. Then came the storage seal, another extremely common seal that creates a small pocket dimension for storing objects. The final seal was the chakra seal, an extremely rare seal that can absorb chakra. It can be used to either absorb chakra-based attacks, or to store chakra to be used at a later date for when the user runs low. Naruto stood up and walked out of the forest. Towards the area Daikoni was fighting the clones earlier. There was an incredible amount of damage done to the area. Smashed trees, thick trench-like cuts in the ground, and puddles of water made up the majority of the training ground. Thankfully, the little cabin remained untouched, so Naruto made his way to it to lay down. Upon nearing the bed, he was pressed yes when asked to go to sleep. 3rd person POV narrator Naruto's mindscape. When Naruto opened his eyes he was in his mind, inside of a clearing within Kurama's forest. Confident that the fox would find him, the boy sat down by a tree. ND opened his Stow's menu to see what his level up did. He was faced with this screen. Level 6,6,001,000. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha health points, 820. Stamina points, 700. Chakra points, 2,400. Strength, 15. Constitution, 20. Dexterity, 14. Agility, 13. Intelligence, 10. Charisma, 10 points available, 20 status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. Perks. Intermediate water mastery. Intermediate seal mastery. Uzumaki Sweden jutsu perk points. 4. Looking at his choices, Naruto put 5s. Tat points into both intelligence and charisma, 2 in agility, and 1 in dexterity, bringing them all up to 15. He the remaining 7 into strength, to hopefully get another perk. Naruto saw that he had 4 perk points to spend, so he scrolled to the perk tab to get some new abilities. He looked through the available perks, and found 2 he liked. He chose Skin of the Lizard, granting 20 elemental and physical defense, and Strength of the Oak. A new perk that gave a 20 bonus to physical attacks and granted Oak Strength, an ability that allows the user to temporarily increase their strength by 50 once an hour. Naruto then used 1 point to morph intermediate water mastery into advanced water mastery. The boy used his final perk point to put basic kenjutsu mastery, which granted the ability to level the kenjutsu skill to level past LV 15. The final stat sheet looked like this. Level 6,6,001,000. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha health points, 820. Stamina points, 700. Chakra points, 2,400. Strength, 22. Constitution. 20. Dexterity. 15. Agility. 15. Intelligence. 15. Charisma. 15 points available. 0 status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation advanced water mastery. Intermediate seal mastery. Uzumaki Suiden jutsu. Skin of the lizard. Strength of the oak. Basic kenjutsu mastery perk points. 0. Satisfied. Naruto calmly waited for Biju to come to him. Eventually, a wolf-sized Kyuubi walked into the clearing where his container was waiting. Kurama, Naruto said, greeting the fox. Naruto. The chakra being replied, I see that you've obtained a katana from the quest you completed. You also have knowledge of your family's kenjutsu style. I want you to practice using it in your mind until it's time for you to wake up. You should still gain experience with the skill and it will give you something to use in case you run out of chakra. Start by creating a kage bunshin. Hi sensei. Naruto quick L.Y. formed a kage bunshin and had it draw its katana. Naruto, I want you to test out an ability on your list. It's called Observe. Alright, observe, Naruto said, looking directly at the bunshin. Kage bunshin LV. 6. A shadow clone of Uzumaki Naruto. HP. 11. SP. 350. CP. 1200. Wielding. Rusty katana. Wow, it tells me all about my target. Naruto said, excited at the idea of knowing more about his enemy. All right then, one last thing before you fight. I want you to observe your katana. After that, fight this clone until one of you lands a hit. Also, no special techniques, only basic swordplay. Nodding, Naruto observed his blade, rusty katana. A rusty, used katana that is in desperate need of repair. Damage. 10. Dismissing the observe screen, Naruto tried to shift into his family stance. He didn't know how to get into the Uzu stance. He eventually did the same thing he did with observe, except in his head. Uzu Kenjutsu style. His body suddenly shifted into what he imagined was the correct stance. He had his left foot forward with his torso perpendicular to it. His right foot faced to his right, and his katana was in his right hand in a reverse grip pointed behind him. Taking that as the K to begin, his clone ran towards him with his sword high in the air, as if he was going to cleave Naruto in half. It brought the blade down, but before it made contact Naruto used 1-0. The basic movements the Uzu Kenjutsu masters were known for. The whirling deflection. It revolved around quickly parrying a blade while spinning around an enemy, ideally disarming them and getting behind them. Opening up an opportunity to plunge your blade into their unprotected back. And that's exactly what Naruto did. Quickly revolving his body around his right blade, he knocked the clone's cat Anna to the ground, then quickly jammed his own blade into the shocked clone's spine, quickly dispelling him, leaving nothing more than a poof of smoke to show his victory. Pleased with his success, Naruto walked over to Kurama, who watched the entire fight with rapt attention. That was extremely impressive, Naruto. Because of your success, I have a task for you. If you succeed, I'll teach you how to jump into a personal dimension. Even though Naruto wasn't sure what a personal dimension was, it sounded interesting and he loved learning new techniques. All right Fox, what's the challenge? I want you to defend yourself from 11 clones. You win if they all pop, and lose if you are hit. Naruto nodded and created the clones. Ping. Ability level up Kate Bunshin. LV. 730. They all rapidly formed a circle around Naruto, making it impossible to keep an eye on all of them. Naruto and his clones all drew their blades, and after a moment they charged him at once. Realizing that he had no chakra, he called on the half of a tail of Biju chakra, leaving him with 1600 CP. With his newfound chakra, strength, and speed, Naruto channeled his chakra into his legs, launching him upwards into the tree. Focusing his killing intent on the clones below him, he made them hesitate just long enough for him to activate Oak Strength. Naruto's muscles surged with strength the likes of which he'd never felt. Just to add to his already tremendous strength, he activated Chakra Aura and channeled 1000 CP into his arms and hands. If someone was to see Naruto at that moment, they would see a blonde boy Sarone. Dead by an aura with streaks of red and blue. The aura was so potent that the leaves surrounding him instantly disintegrated. Naruto looked around and saw that his clones were looking up at him with worried, yet determined expressions on their faces. After seeing this, a smirk grew on Naruto's face. He leapt off of the branch and slammed his fist on the ground, sending cracks through the surrounding earth around him. The force released when Naruto hit the ground was so strong, the shockwave destroyed not only all the clones, but all of the surrounding trees in a 50-foot radius. Ping! New Jutsu Comet Drop LV. 10. The user jumps from at least 10 feet above the ground and slams their hands on the ground, dealing incredible damage to whatever they landed on, as well as sending a shockwave, further damaging targets in the splash zone. Damage of landing. 1/2 STRX height of drop. Damage of shockwave. 1/2 landing damage. Impressed by his own strength, a proud Naruto returned to Kurama. Finished sensei. Good, my boy. You earned the right to learn how to create personal dimensions. Now, all you have to do is gather your chakra and project it in front of you in the shape of a door or portal. Naruto checked his reserves and saw that he only had 600 CP left. Master, I don't have much chakra. How much do I need to use? 100 CP should do the job, replied the tailed beast. Naruto channeled the required amount and shaped the energy into an oval-shaped portal that was about his height. Now walk in. Naruto hesitated for a moment, but ran in the portal nonetheless. He was suddenly hit with nausea the likes of which he'd never felt before. But years of dealing with sickness and poison all on his own gave him an iron stomach. After forcing his discomfort down, he looked around to see where he was. After a moment of looking around, he determined that there was nothing around him. And Naruto meant literally nothing. He was in some sort of vacuum, devoid of all life, water, even ground. Here was an incredible sense of emptiness in this realm. There were, however, two things. The first thing was the portal Naruto entered in from. The other was some kind of tablet, with the same text style as game messages. It read, "Hello, welcome to your personal dimension hub. The hub is an area that leads to other realms that you can create. The hub is empty now, but it can be customized to your liking. After reading this message, you will be given the Realm Maker skill. Leveling this skill will allow you to create more complex dimensions. Higher level will allow things like unlimited chakra, control over gravity, new enemies, and other toggle-able settings for your dimensions. Good luck." Just as the Kame said, when Naruto finished reading, he obtained a new skill. Ping. New skill Realm Maker LV. 10. A skill that allows the user to create more complex realms. Available settings: unlimited chakra, rapid regeneration, and tiny goblin wave. This'll be fun. Naruto's stat sheet. Level 6 6,001,000. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha health points, 820. Stamina points, 700. Chakra points, 2,400. Strength, 22. Constitution, 20. Dexterity, 15. Agility, 15. Intelligence, 15. Charisma, 15. Status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing. Allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. Perks: Advanced Water Mastery, Intermediate Seal Mastery, Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu, Skin of the Lizard, Strength of the Oak, Basic Kenjutsu Mastery Skills, Cooking LV, 1115, Chakra Control LV, 25-0, Handwriting LV, 15-0, Kenjutsu LV, 1500 abilities. Observe LV. 175. Water manipulation LV. 50. Sealing LV. 40. Tailed beast cloak LV. 170. Realm maker LV. 10 jutsu. General. Henge no jutsu LV. 5. Max. Kawarimi no jutsu LV. 5. Max. Bunshin no jutsu LV. 5. Max. Cage bunshin LV. 730. Kuchio's no jutsu LV. 1. 0. Sweden. Sweden. Teppadama LV. 20. Max. Sweden. Suiro no jutsu LV. 1. 0. Sweden. Suiryuden no jutsu LV. 1. 0. Sweden. Sujinhenki no jutsu LV. 1. 0. Uzumaki Sweden. Uzu LV. 1. 0. Uzumaki Sweden. Mizu no Tatsumaki LV. 1. 0. Kenjutsu. Whirling cut LV. 1. 0. Tide slash LV. 1. 0. Blade of Uzu LV. 1. 0. Chakra. Comet drop LV. 1-0. Seals. Storage seal. Weight seal. Explosion seal. Chakra seal. 1 Ikibi 1-tailed beast. Fight or flight. Naruto in the game ch. 6. Text types. Narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina game text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina demon jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Before on Naruto in the game. Just as the game said, when Naruto finished reading he obtained a new skill. Ping. New skill Realm Maker LV. 10. A skill that allows the user to create more complex realms. Available settings. Unlimited chakra, rapid regeneration, and tiny goblin wave. This'll be fun. Third-person POV narrator Realm Hub. Naruto was in a great mood. In less than a day he'd learned how to manipulate water, use a katana, even make his own dimension. To say he was impressed by himself was an understatement. But even with all his powers, he was mentally drained. He focused on the idea of waking up and he was suddenly in a bed. Looking around, he realized he was in the cabin within the training ground. It was also early morning. Yawning, Naruto got out of bed and walked outside. Blinded by the sun, it took him a few minutes for his eyes to adjust to the light. Walking towards the lake, Naruto sat down by the shore. Hey Kurama, what should I do today? I'd send some clones into the village with some money to buy clothes. Your jumpsuit is pretty rough looking, Kit. The fox said, with a small laugh at the end. My clothes aren't that bad, said an indignant Naruto. There was no response from the chakra beast. Stupid fox, mocking my clothes, Naruto said, trailing off when he suddenly thought of something. What if I level up Realm Maker? Having decided on what he was going to do today, Naruto formed a clone and had it henge into a ninja. Here's 3,000 Ryo. Go buy combat boots, 2 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, a mesh shirt, a sheath for the katana, and a mask. The clone nodded, and ran off to complete his master's task. The original Naruto created and entered a portal to the hub. Walking over to the panel, Naruto selected Tiny Goblin Wave Realm. Upon selecting it, a new screen on the tablet appeared. It said this: Tiny Goblin Wave. A hostile wave of 5 small goblins will spawn. Waves. 5. Boss. Number. Experience gain. Yes. Region all CP and SP between waves. Yes. At the bottom of the screen there was a button that said Create World. Naruto hit the button and he was suddenly in an open clearing, with a lake about 40 feet behind him. But what drew his attentions was the small group of monsters in front of him that he assumed were the goblins. They were about a foot shorter than Naruto at 4 feet tall. They were all green with colorful war paint, and tattoos around their faces and arms. They wore rags but no armor and wielded stone spears and wooden clubs. Curious about learning more, Naruto used Observe on them. This was their description. Low Goblin LV. 5. Unarmored creature with basic wood and stone weapons. Special abilities. Na. HP. 300,300. SP. 100,100. CP. Na. Wanting T. O test his combat prowess without any chakra. Naruto drew his blade and rushed the goblins. The small creatures raised their clubs and spears and charged the lone swordsman. Naruto dodged the swing of one goblin's club, and slashed it in the side before chopping its head off. Critical hit. Slash damage equals base damage plus crit damage plus mastery bonus plus strength bonus 10 plus 150 plus 30 plus 44 equals 299.52. Decapitation damage equals instant kill. After losing its head, the goblin disintegrated into a shower of dust. Moving past the goblin's remains, Naruto lunged forward and plunged the katana into the next goblin's eye. Puncture damage. 10. Plus 1000 plus 30 plus 44 equals 2531.4. It was destroyed in a similar manner to the first. The other three monsters hesitated after seeing their comrades obliterated with such ease. Naruto smirked at their reactions and charged at them with his blade raised. The lead goblin tried to dodge, but the katana was brought down with such speed that dodging was simply not an option. It was cleaved in half, the dust littering the ground around the fighters. The two remaining goblins seemed to have lost the will to fight and were running in the opposite direction. But Naruto wasn't going to have any of that. Running after them at full speed, he slashed the head of one of them, and plunged his blade into the heart of the other. Ping. Round complete. Chakra replenished. Next round. Y or N. Naruto hit yes and the next set of goblins spawned. The next rounds continued like the first, until Naruto reached the final round. After killing the final goblin of round 5, Naruto was shown this screen. Realm conquered. Rewards. 5000 Ryo 750 XP, new realm setting, Goblin Familiar, and Goblin Ring. After accepting all the loot, Naruto was kicked out of the realm, and taken back to the hub. Ping. Level up. LV. 7350100 Skill level up Kenjutsu, LV. 1830. Skill level up Realm Maker, LV. 350. New status The Intimidator, given for making at least 10 enemies freeze and running away, without using killing intent or any jutsu. It seems that when I beat a realm I can get real-world resources and items. Also, I can level up skills, but I only get them after I beat the realm. Naruto was extremely happy about this new way to train and make money, and he was quite curious as to what his new items, status, and familiar, did. He first opened up his inventory and scrolled to the Goblin Ring. Goblin Ring gives the user a bonus 10 strength. When 50 CP is channeled into the ring, an armored chakra goblin with 100 HP is created. It wields a two-handed steel broadsword and a crossbow. Only 50 CP. I'll be able to make an army of these guys. An excited Naruto thought, his mind teeming with ideas of how to implement these ideas in battle. The next thing Naruto examined was his status. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Then came Naruto's favorite reward, the Goblin Familiar. Familiars were creatures that could be controlled and sent into battle. If they died, they simply revived after the fight was over. This one was a goblin that had zero equipment, but could be equipped with almost anything, and be trained to learn a variety of different weapon and magic styles. It was currently incapable of speech, but understood orders. Naruto named it Urukand. Upon observing it, Naruto was shown a screen called the Familiar Menu. It allowed Naruto to manage Uruk's stats and add points and perks when he leveled up. Speaking of level ups, Naruto Allo gained a level. He had 20 stat points which he put into Constitution and Strength, bringing them up to 40 and 42. This increase morphed Strength of the Oak into Strength of the Giant, which granted 100 extra strength instead of 50 and a 40 bonus to physical damage when the ability wasn't active. Skin of the Lizard was morphed into Scales of the Drake, which gave 40 physical and elemental damage resistance. His stat sheet looked like this. Level 7350100. Naruto Ooze. Umaki Civilian of Konohagakure. Health points, 1100. Stamina points, 800. Chakra points, 2800. Strength, 42 plus 10. Constitution, 40. Dexterity, 15. Agility, 15. Intelligence, 15. Charisma, 15 points available, 0 status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to Water Ing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. The intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Perks. Advanced water mastery. Intermediate seal mastery. Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu. Scales of the Drake. Strength of the Giant. Basic Kenjutsu mastery perk points. 0. Urik's stat sheet was far more empty than Naruto's. Yet it was very impressive for a level 1 goblin. Level 10500. Urik Goblin Familiar of Naruto Uzumaki Health Points. 500. Stamina Points. 100. Magic Points. 100. Strength. 30. Constitution. 20. Dexterity. 5. Agility. 7. Intelligence. 2. Charisma. 1. Magic. 10. Points available. 0 status. Unholy creature natural enemy of the light. 200 bonus damage at night or underground. Familiar cannot be truly killed. Return to life at the end of any battle. Are permanently bound to your master. Magic being a creature from a realm without chakra. Uses magic, an energy that functions similarly to chakra. But the effectiveness is increased by magic stat. Fast-growing goblins were designed to make rapidly reproducing and maturing troops for use in unholy armies. Gains quadruple experience up to first evolution. Very satisfied with his newly acquired servant's capabilities, Naruto decided to test out his new familiar in an unvisited realm. Upon opening the realm he saw that he had 2 new realm options. Goblin Raiding Party and Goblin Army. Naruto clicked on Goblin Raiding Party. Goblin Raiding Party. A hostile wave of 20 armed goblins, 10 well-armed goblins, and 5 orcs and will spawn. Waves. 3. Boss. Yes. Experience gain. Yes. Region all CP and SP between waves. Yes. Naruto read through the description and hit create, anxious to have a challenge. He was taken to the same area as before, appearing in the clearing by the lake. About 100 feet from him, Naruto spotted the raiding party. Naruto saw that Urik was to his left, but was unarmed. Urik, run away. I don't want you to be defeated just yet. The goblin nodded and scampered off, hiding from the enemy. Naruto looked towards the raiders and saw that they weren't moving towards him yet. This gave him an opportunity to observe the raiders. Naruto first observed the armed goblin. Armed goblin LV. 8. Creature armed with steel blades and shields. Special abilities. Na. HP. 600,600. SP. 200,200. CP. Na. Then came the well-armed goblins. Armored goblin LV. 10. Armored creature using steel swords, shields, and armor. Special abilities. Na. HP. 900,900. SP. 300,300. CP. Na. The final enemy was the orc. Orc LV. 15. Evolved goblin. Armed with a large broadsword and light hide armor. Special abilities. Thick skin. HP. 15,001,500. SP. 500,500. CP. Na. Excited at the prospect of fighting these powerful enemies, Naruto drew his blade with a smile on his face. He focused his killing intent on them to draw their attention. They sensed and proceeded to charge towards the blonde warrior. When they were less than 20 feet away from him, Naruto began to fly through hand seals. Once he completed the 30 seals, Naruto called out one of his family's signature jutsu. Uzumaki Suiden. Mizu no Tatsumaki. A large water spout formed out of the lake behind Naruto and swung towards the raiding party. It swept up all 35 of the goblins and slammed them into the middle of the lake. Relinquishing control of the water spout, it fell apart in a shower of water. As the goblins flailed around in the middle of the lake, Naruto began to go through another set of hand seals. Uzumaki Suiden. Uzu. A large whirlpool formed where the goblins were trying to swim to shore. They were pulled to the center, and were being dragged underwater by the force of the water. Slowly but surely, the goblins began to run out of oxygen and were drowning. After a couple of moments, Naruto ended the technique, and watched as the dead monster dust covered the surface of the water. Naruto repeated this process with the next 2 waves, and was extremely unimpressed by the goblins so far. But he was curious as to what the boss would be. After watching the final goblin drown, Naruto was shaken from his thoughts when a loud roar came from behind him. Turning around, Naruto spotted a 30-foot-tall behemoth charging at him. Rapidly activating Observe, Naruto looked at the creature's description. Siege Troll LV. 25. Giant, evolved troll that is saint. Wrong enough to punch through castle walls. Special abilities. Strength of 100. HP. 50,005,000. SP. 10,001,000. CP. Nah. Naruto's jaw dropped at the giant's high health. He was unsure of what he could use to fight the giant, until he remembered his Uzu Kenjutsu style. Blade of Uzu. Naruto called out, pushing 1200 CP and 400 SP into his blade. He would now deal 1100 base damage with his slashes. Running towards the beast, Naruto activated Strength of the Giant and stabbed the troll in its eye. Damage equals 1100 plus 2000 plus 30 plus 304 equals 13,454 damage. Oh Kami, that single strike was almost strong enough to kill that troll 3 times over. This power is unreal, Naruto thought to himself, shocked by his own abilities. As the troll fully disintegrated, the game pulled Naruto and Uruk out of the realm and dropped them off in the hub. Realm conquered. Rewards. 20,000 Ryo, 20,000 XP, and new realm settings. 20,000 Ryo and XP. These realms are insane, thought Naruto, drooling at the huge amount of money and excited about gaining so much XP. As soon as Naruto accepted the rewards, he was hit with a volley of level ups. Ping. Level up level 166504000. Familiar level up Uruk level 10 ready to evo. LV Jutsu level up Uzumaki Sweden. Mizu no Tatsumaki, LV. 1 LV. 25 max. Jutsu level up Uzumaki Sweden. Uzu. LV.1 LV.15 max. Realm Maker. LV. 3 LV. 640. Exiting out of the menu, Naruto examined how his mastered skills had changed. Uzumaki Sweden. Uzu LV. 15. Max. An ancient Sweden technique created by the Uzumaki of Uzugakure. Forms a whirlpool in a body of water that can be used to pull in enemies or drown them. Costs. 5 OCP per 20 feet of diameter. Hand seals. 1. CB rank. Then came his second mastered jutsu. Uzumaki Sweden. Mizu no Tatsumaki LV. 25. Max. An ancient Sweden technique created by the Uzumaki of Uzugakure. Creates a large. Very happy with his 2 newly mastered jutsu, Naruto opened up Uruk's status page. Level 10 ready to evolve. Uruk Goblin familiar of Naruto. Uzumaki health points, 1400. Stamina points, 1000. Magic points, 1000. Strength, 30. Constitution, 20. Dexterity, 5. Agility, 7. Intelligence, 2. Charisma, 1. Magic, 10. Points available, 180. Status. Unholy creature, natural enemy of the light. 200 bonus damage at night or underground. Familiar cannot be truly killed. Return to life at the end of any battle. Are permanently bound to your master. Magic being a creature from a realm without chakra. Use as magic. An energy that functions similarly to chakra, but the effectiveness is increased by magic stat. Fast-growing goblins were designed to make rapidly reproducing ND maturing troops for use in unholy armies. Gains quadruple experience up to first evolution. Evolve. Orca taller, tougher goblin that has a much higher strength, agility, and dexterity, but has much lower wisdom and intelligence. Shaman, a small, magic-focused creature that, while smaller than and physically weaker than goblins, use a wide array of spells to make up for any physical weaknesses. After reading through Uruk's stat sheet, Naruto was drawn to Uruk's options for evolving. It seems that evolutions are stronger versions of a creature. I should make him a shaman, since I can. Already create armored goblins whenever I need to, so I'll make him something new. Naruto decided in his head. After clicking on Shaman, Uruk suddenly began to glow and a bright light began to be emitted from his body. When the light died down, Uruk was very different. He was no longer green, but now had dark red skin with black horns coming out of his brows would be. His eyes now had a purple glow, and he had a far more evil look. Interested on what the changes would be, Naruto examined his new stat sheet. Level 100 2000. Uruk Shaman familiar of Naruto Uzumaki. Health points 1400. Stamina points 1000. Magic points 7000. Strength 3. Constitution 10. Dexterity 5. Agility 4. Intelligence 30. Charisma 13. Magic 50. Points available 180. Status Unholy creature natural enemy of the light. 200 bonus damage at night or underground. Familiar cannot be truly killed. Return to life at the end of any battle. Are permanently bound to your master. Magic user a creature from a realm without chakra. Is adept at magic, an energy that functions similarly to chakra, but the effectiveness is increased by magic stat. Adds 200 megapixels per level. Spells: Fireball, Shield, Fire Lance, Summon Minion, Hell Storm. After reading through Uruk's stat sheet, Naruto decided to raise his constitution by 10, his intelligence by 20, and his magic by 150, which unlocked 3 new spells. Hellfire Barrage, Blood Arrows, and Black Sphere. While Naruto didn't know what these moves currently did, he was sure they would prove to be useful. Having finished dealing with Uruk's stats, Naruto moved on to his own. Level 16650400. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha. Health points 2040. Stamina points 1700. Chakra points 6400. Strength 42 plus 10. Constitution 40. Dexterity 15. Agility 15. Intelligence 15. Charisma 15. Points available 180. Status Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level. Gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Perks: Advanced Water Mastery, Intermediate Seal Mastery, Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu, Scales of the Drake, Strength of the Giant, Basic Kenjutsu Mastery perk points 10. Naruto opted for first making all stats 50, which took 158 points, thus leaving him with 22. He put the remaining points into strength, bring it up to 72. Brin Jing strength past 60 morphed it into strength of the golem, which granted 200 extra strength instead of 160. Bonus to physical damage when the ability wasn't active. Naruto then scrolled to T. He perk screen and saw that 4 new perks were available. One for each of the stats he brought above 20. Dexterity's perk was useless as all it did was boost aim, but the other 3 perks were very useful. Speed of the Hummingbird allows the user to run at up to 40 mph, and gain heightened senses, an ability that slows down the user's perception of time, allowing them to react to high-speed attacks. Requires agility 20, too smart. Doubles effects of skill books, doubles XP gain. Requires intelligence 20, people person. Boosts effectiveness of persuasion and gain descent, an ability that allows the user to turn someone on another person. Ability has a 100 chance to work on those with a lower charisma than the user, however it can only be used once per hour. Requires charisma 20. Without hesitation, Naruto bought all 3 perks and watched as they all morphed into new ones. Speed of the Hummingbird morphed into Speed of the Hawk, allowing him to run up to 80 mph. Too Smart kept its name but tripled the effect of skill books. People Person also kept its name and boosted descent, allowing him to use it on up to 10 people per hour. Percy also bought the upgrades for Water, Seal, and Kenjutsu Mastery, bring them up Expert, Advanced, and Intermediate Mastery. The remaining 4 perk points were saved for a later date. This was his stat sheet. Level 16650400. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha Health Points, 2100. Stamina Points, 1700. Chakra Points, 6400. Strength, 72 plus 10. Constitution, 50. Dexterity, 50. Agility, 50. Intelligence, 50. Charisma, 50. Points available, 0 status. Jinchurik, Eye of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki Lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani Clan Summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of Crab Sage mode. Uzumaki Clan Head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki Clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Perks: Expert Water Mastery, Advanced Seal Mastery, Uzumaki Suiten Jutsu, Scales of the Drake, Strength of the Golem, Intermediate Kenjutsu Mastery, Speed of the Hawk, 2 Smart, People Person Perk Points, 4. Naruto closed out of his menu, and turned to Uruk. "How do I unsummon you?" asked Naruto, not truly expecting an answer. But, the moment he said, "unsummon," Uruk disappeared. Not questioning how he did that, Naruto walked out of the hub and materialized back in the training ground. Upon looking around the clearing, he saw a bundle of clothes with a small note on it. He read, "I spent all of the money on these clothes and sheath." In the bundle was all Naruto asked for. A pair of combat boots, 2 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, a mesh shirt, a sheath for the katana, and a blank, white mask. "Hey Kit, what's the mask for? I'm going to see if I can sneak out of the village soon. When I get out, I plan on hunting the criminals that have bounties on their heads. But, I can't be recognized, so I'm going to change my hair color and wear the mask. Naruto, I want you to come into your mind. I have something to give you." Eager to see what his Biju was going to give him, Naruto put everything into his inventory and sat down by a tree. He calmed himself and entered his mind. Appearing in the forest, he saw that Kurama was already waiting for him. "Kit, I believe that if you're going to sneak out of the village to be a bounty hunter, then you need to have equipment that can match your skill. Hold out your katana and mask." Naruto obeyed and pulled out the rusty blade and porcelain mask. They both began to glow the same red as the Kyuubi's chakra, and began to change shape. The katana began to lose all the rust that once covered it, and began to grow longer. It was now 4 feet long with a dark crimson blade and a new hilt. The hilt was in the shape of a fox with the blade coming out of the animal's open mouth. The mask also obtained a new fox motif. It was once totally blank with 0 markings or features except for 2 eye holes. It was a totally different object. Where the eye holes once are 2 seals that allow you to see through them. Like a instant live feed from a camera with the vision of a hawk. The rest of the mask was the same, except that the mask now had red stripes, forming the image of a snarling fox. In awe at his new and improved equipment, Naruto was shocked into silence. "I see you like the improvements, Kit," Kurama said, smiling and showing of his rows of sharp teeth. "But all you've seen are the visible improvements. Take a look at them with your observe." Naruto eagerly activated the ability and examined the blade and mask. Katana of the Kitsune. The katana given to Naruto by Kurama, the Kyuubi. Blessed by Kurama, giving it incredible damage along with making it nigh indestructible. Damage: 600. Mask of the Kitsune. The mask given to Naruto by Kurama, the Kyuubi. Blessed by Kurama, it gives the user hawk-like eyesight, night vision, and allows the wearer to use basic mind control on weak-willed targets. The user can also completely change his or her appearance, hair color, skin color, even body shape. Damage resistance: indestructible. This is my gift to you, Naruto. A blade and a mask to shield your identity and cut down your hot, Naruto. Left his mind, improved items in tow. Time skip 2 days later Naruto's POV first Naruto's house. It's been 2 days since Kurama's given me my new items, and I've done a lot in that short amount of time. While I hadn't leveled up any skills or ability, I have learned a huge amount of new techniques. On the first day, Kurama had taught me the basics of using pure chakra for attacks, as well as using it to utilize a special style of combat seals. He learned the style after seeing his first host Mito Uzumaki use it. It revolved around using chakra manipulation to draw solid seals on any surface, even air. I also had 10 clones make an incredible amount of the 4 seals I know. After they were done, I put them into my inventory. I discovered that it was not only infinite, but time didn't pass inside, meaning I could store food within it and have it never spoil. I have an enormous amount of food that I can have hot and ready anywhere and anytime. Also, before I went to bed, I saw a special alert from the game. Warning: game will update overnight, changing messages, skill and ability creation, and adding new systems. Day 2 was physical training. I pulled a weight seal out of my inventory and placed it on my shoulder. As soon as I channeled chakra to it, the paper stuck to my bicep like a suction cup. Suddenly, the large amount of kanji that made up the seal had begun to change into a sentence. Select weight. 1x normal, 2x doubles force of gravity, 4x, 6x, 8x, other underscore. I pressed 2x, hoping to see what double Earth's gravity was. The moment I'd pressed it, I was pushed straight into the ground, surprised by the sudden change. But my high strength, GTH and constitution must have kicked in because I was up and on my feet in moments. Before long I was doing sprints around the lake, my body having totally adapted to the new weight. After completing a lap around the lake I'd received a game message. Congrats! You've adapted to 2x Earth's gravity, giving you plus 20 strength, plus 10 agility and plus 5 constitution. Because of your seal's settings, whenever you've become strong enough to handle the new weight, the seal will automatically become heavier. You will shortly have 4x Earth's gravity affecting you. I just wanted to give you a heads up. While I was surprised by the game suddenly becoming a lot more friendly, as well as mentioning the word I during the message, but there wasn't much time to consider either of those two things since I was it with the incredible force of 4 times regular gravity. If the 2x pushed me to the ground, 4x gravity slammed me into it. While it was almost no trouble to get up the first time, it was now far more difficult. And I found myself straining my muscles to pick myself up off the ground. But after a few moments I managed to get myself into a standing position. When I fully got up off the ground, I received a new ability for my troubles. New ability. Dig deep. At the cost of 10 of remaining health, give yourself 30 of your CP and SP. Given for pushing yourself past your limits and forcing yourself to power through limitations. I continued the routine of running laps with increased gravity, receiving the stat boosts, and adding weight, until I reached 16x. I had received an additional 120 in strength, 60 in agility, and 30 to constitution. Since strength was at 212, strength of the golem was upgraded to strength of the titan, which granted 2000 extra strength instead of 200 and a 250 bonus to physical damage when the ability wasn't active. Agility had been increased to 120, changing speed of the hummingbird into speed of Atalanta, letting me run at up to 80 mph. It gave me a boost to heightened senses, which allowed me to fight and react in high-speed states. I was pretty satisfied about where my abilities and stats were at, so I decided to sleep, planning on leaving the village at night. After I woke up at about 2 in the morning, I ate some cereal before packing all of my food, clothes, and supplies into my inventory. This is where I am now readying myself to leave the village behind. It's time, I said to myself, truly confirming to myself that it was actually going to happen. I stepped out into the night, activated my mask, disguising myself as an adult ninja, and ran. Level 16650400. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha Health Points, 2450. Stamina Points, 1700. Chakra Points, 6400. Strength, 212 plus 10. Constitution, 85. Dexterity, 50. Agility. 120. Intelligence. 50. Charisma. 50. Points available. 0 status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level. Gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to W. Aether manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Perks. Expert Water Mastery. Advanced Seal Mastery. Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu. Scales of the Drake. Strength of the Titan. Intermediate Kenjutsu Mastery. Speed of Atalanta. 2 Smart. People Person Perk Points. 4 Skills. Cooking LV. 11-15. Chakra Control LV. 25-0. Handwriting LV. 15-0. Kenjutsu LV. 18-30 Abilities. Observe LV. 10. Chakra Aura LV. 175. Water Manipulation LV. 50-0. Sealing LV. 40-0. Tailed Beast Cloak LV. 170. Realm Maker LV. 640. Chakra Manipulation LV. 30-90. Dig Deep LV. 34-85 Jutsu. General. Henge no Jutsu LV. 5. Max. Kawarimi no Jutsu LV. 5. Max. Bunshin no Jutsu LV. 5. Max. Cage Bunshin LV. 730. Kuchio's no Jutsu LV. 1. 0. Sweden. Sweden. Teppadama LV. 20. Max. Sweden. Suiro no Jutsu LV. 1. 0. Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu LV. 1. 0. Sweden. Sujinhenki no Jutsu LV. 1. 0. Uzumaki Sweden. Uzu LV. 15. Max. Uzumaki Sweden. Mizu no Tatsumaki LV. 25. Max. Kenjutsu. Whirling Cut LV. 1. 0. Tide Slash LV. 1. 0. Blade of Uzu LV. 1. 0. Chakra. Comet Drop LV. 1-0. Chakra Spear LV. 420. Chakra Beam LV. 240. Chakra Barrage LV. 610. Seals. Storage Seal. Weight Seal. Explosion Seal. Chakra Seal. Enlistment. Naruto in the game ch. 7 Enlistment Text Types. Narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina Game Text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human Talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human Thinking. Sharingan. Equals Deus Ex Machina. Human Jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon Talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon Thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon Jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Before on Naruto in the game. It's time, I said to myself, truly confirming to myself that it was actually going to happen. I stepped out into the night, activated my mask, disguising myself as an adult ninja, and ran. First person PA of Naruto, Konoha Village Apartment District Night. I already had a plan in my head, and not a moment could be wasted. I had to move quietly, as to not get the attention of the Anbu patrols. I ducked into an alleyway, and ran up the wall until I reached the roof. Using a mix of heightened senses and observe, I spotted each of the 20 Anbu that's jobs were to make sure no one was misbehaving or committing a crime within their assigned district. Unless the target of the crime is a defenseless Jinchuriki. Then they just let the villagers go on ahead. While planning my escape, I'd realized that I needed to evade or distract them somehow, but until recently I had no way. I focused as much chakra as I could into the water within the sewers below me, stopping their flow. And forcing it up through the drainage holes in the sides of roads. There were geysers of sewage coming out of the roads every 30 feet, their pressure cracking the holes and causing even more water to spew up. Knowing that it would only get their attention for a few moments, I made use of those precious seconds by activating Speed of Atalanta and zipping across the rooftops, leaving nothing but a blur. Within a few minutes I'd reached the village gate, so I slipped into another alleyway and Talenta. I peered out of the alley and saw the enormous barrier, with about 5 ninja manning the walls every 100 feet. Any commotion I could cause would actually be detrimental, since they had the ability to activate special seals placed on the walls, which formed a barrier that prevented anyone from entering and exiting. So the only available course of action was to try out my new mosque's ability. As I neared the gate, still transformed into a ninja, I saw that only 2 people were manning the actual gate itself. As I got closer I greeted them, getting their attention and making them look me in the eyes. I smirked. Too easy. Open the gate, I said, activating the mind control of my mask. Their eyes briefly glowed red, signifying that they were under my control. The one on the left's hand moved to a small group of seals. He channeled Chakra to it and placed his hand on it. The seal glowed, before causing the gate to open. I activated Speed of Atalanta and zoomed out of the village, running through the hundreds of miles of forest that surround Konoha. Hey Kit, I've been thinking, and I believe that you should change your plan of action. Wanting to remove criminals from this world is an admirable goal, but I have a better idea. Interested in what his tenant was thinking, the blonde responded. Sure, I'll hear it. Good. The place I want you to go is called Yina, or as many others know it is, the Land of Strife. It is a continent 20 times the size of the elemental Na. Tyons and the inhabitants are extremely powerful. In game terms, they would range from about level 80 to at least level 1000. I was so surprised by that number that I nearly crashed into one of the giant oak trees that Fire Country is known for. Level 1000. How am I supposed to compete with that? Calm down Naruto, it'll be a while before I'll have you go there. Plus when I mentioned level 1000, I was referring to their demigods. Demigod is their name for the children of gods and humans. Plus, with the help of the game you might become stronger than them one day. But don't worry, demigods are extremely rare and most creatures you'll be fighting will be between levels 90 and 500. Calm down, I continued to run until I reached the end of the giant forest. I had gained about 5 more levels in chakra control before I felt comfortable enough to start running at high speed. I quickly activated Speed of Atalanta, wanting to test if I could run on the water. It turns out I could, and running so fast on the water super leveled chakra control to level 50. I ignored the pop-ups and continued running through the swamp. I was about to ask Kurama where Kiri-1 was, but I was suddenly launched into the air. I was sent at least 100 feet into the air but managed to land in the green murky swamp water. Heavy blow. Minus 1500 HP. I swam up to the water's surface and looked around to see what hit me. It took me a moment to see but I spotted it about 100 feet away. Wading towards me was a 3-story tall behemoth. It was humanoid, and covered in moss, vines, and algae. Its face, however, was far from human. It had no visible ears, with giant, frog-like eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. Some of the teeth were so long that they came down through its closed lips. I quickly used Observe to gauge how much of a threat it posed. Dugu the Swamp Guardian LV. 20. A primordial swamp creature that swallows up any traveler who enters his swamp. HP. 8000. MP. 800. SP. 10,000. Attack style. Leech magic, water magic. Physical attacks. After seeing how powerful Dugu was, I realized that none of my abilities would do anything, so I decided to call in some backup. Kuchio's no Jutsu. Daikani. Pushing 1400 CP into my hands I slammed them both onto the water's surface, causing a familiar plume of smoke to appear. As it cleared, the giant crab boss was revealed. Hey Daikani, I could use some help here, I said running up one of the mangrove trees that fill the swamps. Ah Naruto, it's good to see you again. I take it that we're fighting that moss creature. That's right, but be careful, it has leech and water magic. He'll be no problem, Daikani said, fully confident about his abilities. Curious to see how strong Daikani was, I used Observe on him. Daikani the Kani clan head LV. 60. The head of the Kani clan. Given his title for defeating all competitors. HP. 20,000. CP. 30,000. SP. 30,000. Attack style. Doden Jutsu, Suiden Jutsu, physical. Attacks. As I was reading through Daikani's description, I began to thank every god I could think of. How did I manage to survive against this guy? I exited out of the observe screen and watched as Daikani raised his pincers. As his pincers rose, bits of rock and soil that were under the swamp began to rise out of the ground and form a gigantic spear. Seeing that his enemy was preparing an attack, Dagu launched his own. Opening his mouth, a seemingly unending amount of leeches began to pour out. They soon began to slither on the surface of the water towards us. Knowing that Daikani needed a few moments to finish the spear, I used one of my own techniques to obliterate the horde of leeches. I prepared one of my new techniques called Chakra Barrage. Chakra Barrage LV 610, a technique that uses pure chakra to send a large amount of chakra spheres at the target. Upon impact, the spheres explode, dealing a small amount of damage. Damage: 5 per sphere. Cost: 5 CP per sphere. Max spheres per barrage: 100. I poured 500 CP into the attack, firing over 100 spheres in less than 10 seconds. The spheres impacted with the water, obliterating the leeches into nothingness. As the leeches were destroyed, I received a message saying I had leveled Chakra Barrage to level 12. My attack also gave Daikani the time he needed to create his Earth Spear. The fully formed weapon was levitated in the air, and hurled at the Guardian with incredible speed. When it impacted Dagu, it impacted him with so much force that he was launched over 300 feet backwards. He only stopped when the spear suddenly changed direction and slammed Dagu in the ground, creating a huge splash. When the water settled and finished falling, I was shocked by what I saw. Dagu was on his back, the spear impaling his stomach and the ground below, preventing the Guardian from getting up. Unsummoning Daikani, I ran over to the downed Guardian, hoping to see how much HP he had. Nearing him, I saw that he had less than 100 HP left, which wasn't a surp rise upon seeing the pool of black blood and slime that was forming under the swamp Guardian. Wanting to put him out of his misery, I drew my blade and stabbed him in the eye. As I pulled the blade out of his skull, the Guardian disappeared, leaving a pile of dust and items. Before I could gather up my reward, I was shown a screen saying I received 2000 XP, 4000 Ryo, and the ability to summon Dagu for killing the Guardian. Another screen popped up after that which explained what Guardians were. They were creatures that guard natural landforms and areas, such as giant forests, cave systems, and other wonders. Excited at seeing what kinds of Guardians existed, I exited the menu, determined to find more. I walked over to where Dagu's body was, eager to see what loot he dropped. After sorting through everything, I was very pleased. I got some skill books for summoning a magic elemental, a algae-covered ring that let me breathe underwater, and a skill book for a seal that let me drain HP and CP from the target. I put everything in my inventory, making a mental note to see if I could use magic. Making sure no other monsters were nearby, I formed 3 clones to take watch while I took a short break to rest. Walking up a mangrove, I took a short nap in one of its branches. I woke up about an hour later, feeling incredibly refreshed. I looked up at the sky and saw that the sun was just coming up. Turning towards where I'd been running towards before, I took off once again. After another 2 hours of running, I stopped in a field after seeing a horrific sight. In the middle of the countryside there was a huge fire. At the center of the fire, there was surrounded by other kinds of buildings as well as a city gate. They all had the symbol of what I imagined was a clan. Surrounding the inferno were at least 40 laughing ninja who all wore kiri headbands. They were watching, as the clan members inside burned alive. Anyone who managed to escape was cut down or impaled by water jutsu. I was incredibly angry, but I reached my breaking point when I saw them do the same thing to a child. Drawing on Kurama's chakra, I spread my ki across the group. A feral smirk grew on my face as the sounds of their laughter were. That aim was to erase them, to leave nothing left for the rest of their evil and disgusting comrades to find. The experienced Jonin in the group managed to evade my first attack and were now trying to fire back with their own jutsu and projectiles. Making full use of my agility boost from my Biju cloak and my faster reflexes from heightened senses, I managed to dodge all of their attacks. What I couldn't dodge, I used my katana to slice through or deflect. After seeing all their attacks fail, the Jonin turned tail and ran, zooming away at speeds worthy of their positions. But unfortunately for them, Jonin level speed wasn't even close to being as fast as speed of Atalanta with a Chakra aura and Biju cloak. In 4 seconds I managed to catch up with and kill all of them. Except for one. I chased him into a clearing and he stopped running, choosing to instead back up against a tree. Not wanting him to try anything stupid, I formed a Chakra Spee AR in my hands and threw it at his shoulder, forcefully pinning him to the tree behind him. I walked towards him, watching as he cried in pain as my Chakra Spear burned the parts of him it touched. Dropping all of my boosts, I activated my mask and looked him in the eyes. Why did you burn that compound? As if the pain no longer bothered him, the Jonin emotionlessly answered me. The Mizukage has ordered that all bloodline users are too dangerous and must be hunted down and killed. Using all my will, I managed to calm myself enough to not crush the ninja in front of me like a grape. So, that clan had bloodline users. The ninja once again answered in the same, monotonous voice. Yes, they had the ability to cause whatever they touched to be covered in stone. I was both angry that they died, and begrudgingly impressed at how the Nin managed to defeat the clan. Satisfied with the answers I received, I pulled my spear out of the ninja. With a quick thrust to his heart, I ended the man's life. After wiping all the blood off of my weapons, and myself, I received a notification. Battle End 1 level up, multiple skill and ability level ups. Skills. Kenjutsu LV. 182322. Abilities. Chakra Aura LV. 1 to 810. Tailed Beast Cloak LV. 1 to 560. Chakra Manipulation LV. 30310. Dismissing the menu, I walked to where all the dead ninja were and gathered all their headbands. I left them all in a pile, with a small note on top. It said, "These souls have been taken in retribution for the many innocent lives they've taken. All of these hunters will be given the same treatment." The bloody whirlwind. Satisfied with my note, I sat and watched the last of the compound burn, the majority of those who lived there dead before my arrival. As I watched the buildings collapse in on themselves, I felt anger. Through anger at what happened here. On this day I made a vow. A vow to protect these people. Ping. I looked to my left and saw a new message that I'd never received before. New Monique. The bloody whirlwind. Given for decimating a squad of 40 ninja of varying rank in less than 3 minutes. Grants plus 20 to all stats while fighting a force at least 15 strong. I dismissed that menu only to have another one pop up. Quest. Stop the persecution of bloodline users. Objectives. 1. Join the resistance. 2. 3. Reward. 50,000 XP. Freedom of all bloodline users. Accept. Y or N. Hitting yes, I exited out of the menu. Before I could plan anything I was hit with yet another message. Glitch fixed. Given +10 Earth manipulation for the Kani clan summoner. Status. I apologize for any problems this glitch may have caused. I paled after reading this message. The game can glitch. What if one of these glitches does something dangerous? Taking a moment to calm down, I realized that there was nothing I could do. So there was no reason to freak out. Plus, I now had Earth manipulation, so I could eventually do things like Daikani's Earth Spear. But I had no jutsu for it yet, so I decided to train it while I ran around the country. I used the level of manipulation I currently had to lift a ball of earth out of the ground. I lifted into the air, and as I ran the first leveled up Earth manipulation. After an hour of running in no particular direction I had leveled Earth manipulation to 25. It seemed I needed the mastery perk to level it any further. I eventually reached what I assumed was Kirigakure. It was on a peninsula, and was surrounded by a huge, gray stone wall. The water had a thick fog above it, making it nearly impossible to see the village until you were nearby. Before I got too close, I used my mask to change myself into a middle-aged man with dark hair and green eyes. As I neared the main gate, I was stopped by the 2 ninja stationed there. "What's your business, stranger?" Quickly thinking of some excuse, I said, "I've come to ask for a mission. I'm planning on hiring a genin team to take out some bandits." I got the idea from when I used to play in Gigi's office while he worked. Whenever someone wanted to hire ninja, they visited a special department in the Cage Tower and filled out a form. The form was basically their request on paper, and it would be sent to the cage, who would decide if his village would accept the mission. My lie must have been convincing, because the ninja I spoke to simply nodded and opened the gate for me. As I walked through the gate, I got a message saying I created the lying skill. It currently had a 10 chance of working, and 30 chance of being believable. Happy, I walked past the sentries and looked around the village, unsure of what I should do. For some reason, asking the people living here where the resistance was seemed like a bad idea. Since I had nothing to do right now, I decided to go and speak with the cage. My reasoning was that if I could apply to become a ninja, then I could destroy the village from the inside, as well as learning how best to kill the cage. I ducked into an alley and transformed into the man I would be posing as during my time in Kiri. I changed into a peculiar-looking man. I was 6 feet 5, with strong, yet lean muscle. I had long red hair that hung loosely across my back, and dark purple eyes. I had a tattoo of a fox on my left bicep, and I had scars across my body. My skin was white, and had no features like moles or freckles. Pleased with how I looked, I turned out of the alley and headed towards the large building that I imagined was the cage tower. While walking, it occurred to me that I'd need a name. I decided on Uig Rach. Out of the many groups that visited Konoha, one of my favorites were the Vikings, from the north. While they visited, I picked up some of their language. The name meant eternal vengeance. I thought it would be fitting. Soon, I neared the tower, and prepared myself and repeated my story in my head. I walked in and neared the receptionist. "Hello ma'am, I was wondering if I could speak to the Mizukage." I asked the small woman in the same guttural accent the northerners spoke in. I guessed that the woman was a little intimidated by my size, because she didn't say a word. Instead, she opted to hesitantly point towards the stairs. I nodded and gave a simple, "Thank you," before walking up towards the cage office. As I neared the door, I knocked and heard a voice from within saying to come in. Upon opening the door, I saw the man I assumed to be the Mizukage signing a stack of papers. He was quite young looking, being quite short and possessing a youthful face. He wore a sleeveless shirt with a long green poncho and with a Kirigakure headband hanging loosely from his K was a gray battle staff with a hook on the end of it. Rapidly using Observe, I was surprised by his stats. Yagura the 4th Mizukage LV. 43. The Mizukage of Kirigakure. Given his title for being the strongest in Kiri. He is also the Jinchuriki of the Sanbi 2. HP. 5000. CP. 10,500. SP. 4,400. Attack style. Sweden Jutsu, Mirror Jutsu, Biju Sanbi techniques. How is a level 43 have such low HP and SP? It must be since he isn't in the game. Thankfully, I managed to mask my disbelief and asked the man a question. I was wondering if I could join your forces as a ninja. The man put his pen down and looked at me, seemingly staring into my soul. What rank do you think you would qualify for? The cage finally asked. I took a moment to consider my options. Genin was out of the question since I was far too strong. Chunin was possible, but I would have to mask a lot of my strength and I wouldn't have the kind of access I needed. So Jonin it is. I believe I would be Jonin level, sir. Once again the man looked at me as if I was the most interesting thing he'd ever seen in his life. While you look powerful, looks can't kill. I need to test UT. See where you would be of the most service to me. Come, I will have you fight my right-hand man. He will fight you at Genin level, then Chunin level, and up to cage level. However, I highly doubt you will be able to fight it with that level of power. He smugly said, addressing me like a noble would a commoner. Who knows, sir, I may just surprise you. I replied, eager to fight someone that strong. Yagura simply laughed and said to meet him here in a week as the man I would be fighting is currently on a mission. I nodded and walked out, determined to crush my target in a week's time. As I walked out, I felt Kurama speak to me in my mind. Kit, I know you're excited, but you need to prepare. The ninja here are ruthless and no one would bat an eye if this man simply killed you. Also, why? You can't use any of the weapons that you use as the bloody whirlwind. Meaning no Sweden, Kuchios, extreme strength, or Kenjutsu. Because of this, I want you to create a skill set for this persona. Since you are posing as a Wikinger, you should try to create ice techniques as well as using some hand axes or great swords. Excited at the idea of learning a plethora of new techniques, I decided to get some equipment for Uig. Following some signs, I arrived in what I assumed was the market district. Walking into a huge blacksmith shop, I wandered around until I found something incredible. They were two beautifully crafted axes, both matching and yet totally different. Their names were Sunrise and Nightfall. Sunrise was red and white, with imagery of a fiery sun. Nightfall was a dark purple and black, decorated with stars. Observing them, I saw that they were ancient weapons and used by an ancient Wikinger warrior. He was killed, but his blades changed hands many, many times. Each axe had special properties and had a base damage of 450. I knew that I had to get them, so I picked both up and bought them for just over 35,000 ryo. I knew I just lost a huge amount of money, but I could make plenty by fighting in realms. Forking over the cash, I placed both axes in their sheaths, which I hung from my belt. I looked out my outfit and realized why the Cage Tower secretary was terrified. I was still covered in blood. Quickly equipping a new, clean pair of clothes through my inventory, I walked towards a nearby inn. Renting a room, I used a new game feature to set an alarm for 10 p.m. that night. In the meantime, I was going to bed and make some techniques in my mind while I slept. As I lied down, I opened my eyes and was in the hub. I quickly created an empty realm with a lake and some training dummies. I was teleported to the realm and quickly got to work on changing water to ice. It took me about an hour, but I finally managed to create and manipulate ice at will. It actually created a new skill called Ice Manipulation. Ice Manipulation LV 610, the skill governing the creation and control of ice. Currently available. Manipulation, Creation, Basic Shaping. I then began to create attacks using ice as well as leveling it up. After about 3 hours of work, I took a break and looked at the game clock. It was 3 in the afternoon, meaning I had about 7 hours before I planned on waking up. I looked at the small list of attacks I'd created so far. The first was Ice Shard. It was quite self-explanatory and created small, knife-like shards of ice I could launch at my target. Then I created Ice Spear, Ice Shield, and Ice Tornado. Those required no explanation. After making those basic moves, I managed to think up some new, more interesting attacks. Hailstorm was my first, truly original attack. It created thousands of little ice balls that were levitated and spun around me, masking my true location, blocking enemy vision, and preventing most standard projectiles from hitting me. My strongest technique was called Calder's Howl. Named after the Wikinger god of winter's hunting dog, it was devastating. I channeled Ice Chakra to my throat and howled. Everything within 100 feet would be hit with -1000 F waves of chakra. However, it was a last resort move and left me without a lot of chakra. I was very impressed by my new ice techniques, but I realized that my axe and dual-wielding skills could use some work. For the remaining hours, I fought in my already conquered realms over and over again. I ended up creating a skill for both dual-wielding and axes, and continued to level up both. Dual-wielding kept morphing, meaning I didn't need any perk points to upgrade it, unlike Axe Mastery. Dual-wielding stopped at level 50 and simply gave me a 50 Dama GE bonus while dual-wielding and allowed for high-speed fighting with them. Axe Mastery made me buy mastery upgrades. I ended up stopping at Expert, costing me all my perk points. Leveling Axe Mastery didn't give me any attacks because I didn't have a stance, but it did give me a 50 damage bonus while using axes. I was pulled out of my realm by the game alarm, which woke me up at exactly 10 p.m. King out of my room, I left the end and headed towards the gate. Saying hello to the sentries, I walked out of the village and walked towards a landform I remembered seeing on my way here. Along the coast, there were step cliffs with a 400 feet drop. I eventually reached them and surface walked down it. I walked down halfway before using another of my techniques I created the other day. It was called Chakra Beam, and it was basically a chakra laser that's size and intensity could be manipulated. I poured 500 CP into it, creating a huge beam that carved deep in the cliff side. I created a small opening, which I had lead into a larger hallway. Overnight, I managed to create a huge cave system, with plenty of rooms for a multitude of purposes. The only thing I had to do was furnish it. Walking out of the cave, I looked out and saw that the sun was rising. Eager to finish my home, I sped towards Kiri. Entering the village, I walked into the shopping district. I ended up purchasing a ridiculous amount of furniture, appliances, and even training equipment. While I was shopping, I simply pretended to put things in a storage seal while I placed them in my inventory. I also bought a whole new wardrobe, with everything from casual clothes, to formal wear, to light battle armor. My current set I was wearing was a pair of black pants, a mesh shirt with a chain-link shirt on top, a fur coat that nearly reached my feet, a leather belt with straps for my axe. I also had fur boots on my feet, with tiny spikes on the soles for grip. Finished with my shopping, I decided to head back to my cave. While walking, I remembered that I had gotten some loot from Dugu. I equipped the ring, which let me breathe underwater, and learned how to draw the leech seal. When I got to the cave, I began to unpack and install my new appliances and furniture. First-person POV Naruto. Water Country Cliff Base Evening. It took nearly the whole day, but my base was finished. I decided that I would call it Cliffside, and within my home. There were 4 bedrooms, a kitchen, a living room, 2 bathrooms, a training room, a study, and a meditation room. I also bought a special chakra battery that powered all of the machinery. It needed about 500 CP to be fully charged, and a full charge would power the home for a month. For the next 5 days, I trained my new ice attacks. On day 1, I leveled Ice Shard and Ice Spear. Ice Shard LV, 10 max, a technique that creates shards of ice that can be launched at the target. Damage per shard, 5 DP. Cost per shard, 2 CP. Max shards, 100. Ice Spear LV, 15 max, a technique that creates a spear of ice that can be used as either a throwing weapon or polearm. Max length, 15 feet. Base damage, 100. Cost, 20 CP foot of length. On day 2, I leveled up Ice Shield. Ice Shield LV, 25 max, a technique that creates an ice shield for blocking attacks. Defense, 1000. Cost, 70 foot of radius. Day 3 was when I leveled Ice Tornado. Ice Tornado LV, 25 max, a technique that creates an ice tornado that can either destroy or disrupt enemies. Damage, 300 second. Cost, 200 CP 2 feet of height. Day 4 was when I leveled up Hailstorm. Hailstorm LV, 40 max, a technique that creates a thick hailstorm that can be used to block projectiles, hide yourself, disorient the target, or deal damage to a large area. Damage, 200 second when fully in the storm. Max size, 100,000 hail balls 500 feet 2. Cost, 10 CPFT2. On my 5th and final day of training, I worked on my favorite move, Calder's Howl. Calder's Howl LV, 50 max, a howl type attack that surrounds the area around the user with extreme cold. Radius, 300 feet. Temp, -300. Cost, 2000 CP. It was my last night before the fight, and I was getting a little anxious. I polished my blades, cleaned my clothes and armor. I even started to clean. I realized that I just needed to relax, so I walked into my study, and began to fill some of my chakra seals. Each could hold up to 1000 CP, so I filled 6, leaving me with 450 CP. I placed them in my inventory, and then began to make copies of the leech seal. Some clones I made drew about 50 or so, before placing those in my inventory as well. While drawing, it dawned on me that I could make my own seals by combining the components that make up things like the explosion and storage seals. I ended up making a seal that could take the chakra stored within it and project it out in the desired shape of the maker. I ended up making 20 that made a barrier, 30 that fired bullets of chakra, and 10 that shot out chains of chakra. I managed to create a combination of the 3 that I called the Death Trap seal. If triggered, it formed a small barrier around the target, sent chains that bound them and pinned them to the ground, then fired chakra bullets at them. I also figured out how to link them with blood, so that anyone who didn't have my blood couldn't get past the seals. Making all these seals brought my sealing skill to 50. Very happy with my preparation and new defenses I went to bed, determined to get a full night's rest. I woke up the next day, fully refreshed and prepared for my upcoming battle. I walked out the cave and up the cliff, before running at high speeds towards Kiri. I arrived in 5 minutes, and quickly roof-hopped towards the Mizukage tower. As I neared the door to Yagura's office, I felt someone very powerful inside. I actually got an ability for it called Chakra sensing. I walked in through the door, ducking a bit because of height, and greeted the young Kage. To his left was a large man, even taller than me in this form. He had silver hair, blue eyes, and was extremely pale. He had a large scar on his face that appeared like it came from a claw. He wore the standard Kiri uniform, a long-sleeve green shirt with mesh underneath, gray pants, and a gray flak jacket. I used observe on him, eager to see who I would be fighting. Hiro the Jonin Commander LV. 38, the head of the Kirigakure Ninja Force, given H. Is title for being the strongest and smartest ninja in Kiri. HP. 3,500. CP. 7,000. SP. 3,900. Attack style. Futon Jutsu, Doden Jutsu, Summoning of Crane Clan. To say I was unimpressed by the commander would be an understatement. He was so weak when compared to the monsters of fought that I was shocked he was the best the village had to offer. I then thought about how he probably was incredibly fast, so high health wasn't necessary. And he didn't have a Biju, so nothing increased his growth every level. So you're back, the Mizukage said, drawing me from my thoughts. You never gave me your name, Northerner. What is it? He asked. Uig Rach, Mizukage-sama. Will I be fighting him? Yagura looked at me with a smirk on his face. Yes, he is my Jonin commander, the best our village has to offer. Now, grab my arm. I'm going to shunshin us to the arena. Grabbing his arm, we were suddenly transported to an actual coliseum full of people. Apparently my test would be a public event. Yagura shunshined up to the cage box, and the commander stood 30 feet away from me. In between us was a referee who began to state the rules. All right, the only rule is no purposeful killing, but accidents do happen. Also, there is an extremely strong seal around the edge of the field that prevents any attacks from hitting the crowd. Meaning you can both go all out. He quickly ran out of the arena, and hopped into a special seat in the crowd. On the left side of the stadium was a giant scoreboard that was counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2. Before I could even comprehend that the timer hit 0, the Jonin commander was already on me, trying to end the fight quickly with his kunai. I batted it away with Sunrise before pulling out Nightfall and throwing it at Hiro. Because of my strength, it was hurled at incredible speed, making dodging truly difficult. But he managed to narrowly avoid getting an axe in his chest. The axe lodged itself in the ground by his foot, giving me the perfect opportunity to show off my dual axes abilities. Both axes had an element. Sunrise was fire and light, while Nightfall embodied ice and shadow. If I channeled Chakra to them, then I could do things like light them on fire or freeze anything I touch. I used this ability by channeling Chakra to Nightfall while it was next to the unsuspecting Jonin commander. A spike of ice rose up next to it, aimed at the ninja. He must have sensed me channeling Chakra because he dodged the spike and dashed away from me, trying to make some distance. Not wanting to fall into some kind of trap, I formed 3 ice spears around me, and had them shoot off towards the Jonin commander. Unfortunately for me, Hiro wasn't the commander for nothing, and he easily dodged the spears that I made shatter upon hitting the ground. Hiro took this as an opportunity for him to attack, and began to fly through hand seals. I got into a defensive position, getting ready to block or dodge whatever he was going to throw at me. What I didn't expect was for him to create a blade of wind, a vortex confined to the length and shape of katana. He rushed me with nearly double Jonin level speeds. He quickly brought his blade up, hoping to bisect me from shoulder to hip. However, I enjoy being in one piece, and brought up both axes in an X shape. I caught the blade, but the force of the wind hit me with surprising force and sent me stumbling back. Taking advantage of my disorientation, he lunged and slashed me across my chest. Blood erupted from my chest, staining my clothes. A notification said I lost 2,000 HP because he hit a weak point. I was overwhelmed by pain, and fell to my knees. But I refused to lose, and turned my pain into rage, and that rage into fuel for myself, forcing my body to stand. I Slooh. Kedon saw him standing 10 feet away from me, gauging me and trying to guess what I was going to do. Most would give up right now. I would end this if I were you. I ignored him, picking my axes up off the ground. This would be the last time I underestimated my enemy. I released my chakra, giving me fresh energy and sending a shockwave in every direction. I activated Hailstorm, cheat of me because of the thick vortex of ice and snow. I expanded the move, making it take up the entire arena. I smiled, knowing that I was going to have an easy win now. Because of the reduced visibility, Hiro couldn't find me with his eyes. And because the hail was made of chakra, it would disrupt any attempts at sensing me. I then started an attack pattern I called the Ice Hunter. I would basically use my incredible speed to appear in front of the enemy, hopefully scoring a surprise attack, and then disappearing back into the artificial storm. It helped me to whittle down my targets until they had nothing left to fight with. No chakra, magic, stamina, or even the will to fight. I used it to create a sense of dread. The terrible anticipation of waiting for the next attack caused the target to become anxious and nervous. Those things lead to sloppiness, which led to mistakes, which meant death for a warrior. Over the course of a few minutes, I managed to whittle his health down to 430, less than a fifth of his full health. He was covered in faint scratches, shallow cuts, and deep gashes. During my first assault in the hailstorm, he was so distracted by the cold, hail, and pain that keeping up his wind blade was almost impossible because it required focus, something he didn't have. I was very impressed with the man, seeing as he managed to fight me off with a small tonto he had kept tucked away in a storage seal. I was about to land my final hit before he did something I didn't expect. The man gathered his remaining chakra, and forcefully expelled it from every pore in his body, disrupting the storm and making me lose my focus. Hiro drew a tonto out of a storage seal on his vest and ran at me, hoping to end the battle with a final, desperate strike with his blade. Unfortunately for him, I was tired of this battle and sliced his blade in half when he was within 4 feet of me. He stopped in shock, before dropping what remained of his weapon and raising both hands, the signal for surrender. The ref hopped back onto the field and ran towards us. He lifted my arm into the air and yelled, "Uig Rach, winner." The crowd didn't make a sound, and sat in a stunned silence after watch. Hing their Jonin commander be defeated by a no-name Wikinger. But that hesitation lasted for only few moments. They soon erupted into cheers, everyone stood up, clapping and cheering. Yagura suddenly appeared in the arena, with a smile on his face that was obviously fake. He motioned for the crowd to stop cheering and they gradually began to settle down. Yagura yelled out to the crowd, "This man has beaten our commander. Because of this, he will be granted a place in our forces as a Jonin." At that the crowd went wild and began to cheer for the foreigner turned Jonin. Still with a fake smile, Yagura grabbed me by the shoulder and we suddenly appeared in an abandoned training ground. Looking around, I saw that we were on a peninsula, with almost no cover and some old training dummies scattered around. Turning to Yagura, I was going to ask him what this was about before he grabbed me by the throat with incredible strength. "Who are you?" Level 1737004000. Naruto Uzumaki, civilian of Konoha. Health points, 2550. Stamina points, 1800. Chakra points, 6800. Strength, 212 plus 10. Constitution, 85. Dexterity, 50. Agility, 120. Intelligence, 50. Charisma, 50. Points available, 10 status. Jinchu. Riki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Perks: Expert Water Mastery, Advanced Seal Mastery, Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu, Scales of the Drake, Strength of the Titan, Intermediate Kenjutsu Mastery, Speed of Atalanta, 2 Smart, People Person Perk Points, 4 Skills. Cooking LV, 1115, Chakra Control LV, 50-0, Handwriting LV, 15-0, Kenjutsu LV, 23-22 Abilities. Observe LV, 10, Chakra Aura LV, 810, Water Manipulation LV, 50-0, Sealing LV, 40-0, Tailed Beast Cloak LV, 560, Realm Maker LV, 640, Chakra Manipulation LV, 31-0, Dig Deep LV, 3485, Earth Manipulation LV, 25-0, Chakra Sensing LV, 10 Jutsu, General, Henge no Jutsu LV, 5, Max, Kawarimi no Jutsu LV, 5, Max, Bunshin no Jutsu LV, 5, Max, Cage Bunshin LV, 730, Kuchio's no Jutsu LV, 1, 0, Sweden, Teppadama LV, 20, Max, Sweden, Suiro no Jutsu LV, 1, 0, Sweden, Suiryuden no Jutsu LV, 1, 0, Sweden, Sujinhenki no Jutsu LV, 1, 0, Uzumaki Sweden, Uzu LV, 15, Max, Uzumaki Sweden, Mizu no Tatsumaki LV, 25, Max, Ice Shard LV, 10, Max, Ice Spear LV, 15, Max, Ice Shield LV, 25, Max, Ice Tornado LV, 25, Max, Hailstorm LV, 40, Max, Calder's Howl LV, 50, Max, Kenjutsu, Whirling Cut LV, 1, 0, Tide Slash LV, 1, 0, Blade of Uzu LV, 1, 0, Chakra, Comet Drop LV, 10, Chakra Spear LV, 420, Chakra Beam LV, 240, Chakra Barrage LV, 1232, Seals, Storage Seal, Weight Seal, Explosion Seal, Chakra Seal, Leech Seal, Jinchuriki vs. Jinchuriki, Naruto in the game, ch. 8 Jinchuriki vs. Jinchuriki text types, narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina game text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina, human thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina, human jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina, demon talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina, demon thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina demon jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Before on Naruto in the game. Turning to Yagura, I was going to ask him what this was about before he grabbed me by the throat with incredible strength. Who are you? First person POV Naruto. Water Country Abandoned Training Ground Noon. I was impressed by the Mizukage's strength. He had a vice grip on my throat, and was lifting me about a foot off the ground with a single arm. Not worried, I decided to have a little fun. I'm just sitting here, kid. Shouldn't you be taking a nap or something? Apparently, those weren't the words he was looking for, because he slammed me into the ground hard enough to leave my brain rattling. Yeah, kid, make the Mizukage angry, what a great idea. Ignoring Kurama, I realized that after my battle and being slammed on the ground, I was left with just over 100 HP. Not wanting to end up dead, I rapidly activated a full tail of Biju Cloak, a Chakra Cloak, Strength of the Titan, and Speed of Atalanta. Breaking Yagura's grip with ease, I zoomed behind him and shoved my sword into his back. An alert told me that he had lost 4,800 HP, and that he was about to go into Tailed Beast mode. Jumping away, I watched as Yagura began to glow with a dark, blue chakra that I guess was coming from the Sanbi. The chakra was gushing out from him, and it swirled around him and began to take shape. 3 tails of chakra sprung out of Yagura, and he began to float into the sky. After rising about 100 feet, Yagura pointed his palms towards the ground, and a huge portal opened in between each of his hands. But what came out of the portal terrified me, a huge, 3-tailed chakra turtle. The turtle was gray, with a purple underbelly, Its eyes were red, with black irises that had 3 comma-like shapes with a circle in the middle for a pupil. On top of it sat Yagura, legs crossed and with his eyes closed. I heard a growl from inside my head coming from Kurama. Kit, that's the Sharingan. It's a special eye bloodline called a dojutsu that only members of the Uchiha clan have. It lets the user do anything from copy techniques, control minds, to even granting eidetic memory. But masters of the eyes can control the biju, which is what they're doing to my brother. Alright, got it. Using observe on the Sanbi, I felt a sense of dread at having to fight this titan. Isobu the Sanbi LV. 74. The three-tailed turtle, he is the third weak CP, 100, 00. SP, 50,000. Attack style. Suiden Jutsu, Choral Manipulation. Biju attacks, physical attacks. Resistances. Bleed internal damage. I'm going to need some backup. Looking at my reserves, I had exactly 9,000 CP, so I spent 1,400 CP to summon Daikani. A giant column of smoke appeared between Yagura and myself. The smoke quickly dispersed and the Kani clan head was revealed. Hey Dai, I need you to distract the Sanbi while I try and kill Yagura. Daikani wordlessly nodded and began to quickly form a spear. But the Sanbi was smart, and began to gather dark blue, almost purple chakra into a ball in front of its face. Naruto. That's a Bijudama. One of those can wipe a village of the map. Listening to my inner demon, I gathered 3,500 CP and created an ice dome. It was 70 feet tall, 7 feet deep, and stretched 50 feet in every direction from me. I had 4,100 CP left, and I had to make it count. Isobu had just finished his Bijudama, and the ball of chakra exploded into a beam of destruction. All the ground around my dome was blasted away, and the ice seemed as if it was going to shatter. But fortunately, the attack was over, and Daikani had finished his spear. Daikani's construct was much longer than the first one he'd made, and it was much more dangerous looking. This one had a serrated edge, was spinning incredibly quickly, and was over 20 feet longer. Gripping it in his pincers, Daikani yelled for me to drop the ice. I complied, and the giant crab hurled the recently created projectile at the three tails. Expected to see a dead biju on the ground, but I was shocked to see it standing up, the spear still lodged in its throat. I forgot, Isobu is a biju, they're made of chakra so they don't do things like bleed. Using observe I saw that Isobu had only 3,500 HP and 10,000 CP left. Daikani, finish him. Daikani rushed over to the turtle. Lifting it by the spear, Daikani slammed Isobu on the ground before pulling the spear out and jamming it back in, this time piercing its eye. He turtle shuddered before beginning to glow. One by one each of its scales began to fall to the ground. Each time one hit the ground, it shattered and dissipated, leaving nothing behind. Its skin, once covered in gray scales, was now revealed, and was a pale red. Slowly, the skin began to wither, and after a full minute, nothing was left of Yagura or his biju. Wary, I looked around, expecting Yagura pop out at any moment to attack me. But apparently, he died along with his biju, because I received a message telling me I'd killed Yagura and Isobu. Enemies defeated. Hiro the Jonin commander, Yagura the 4th Mizukage. Isobu the Sanbi, Express. 70,000. Ryo. 110,000. Total levels gained. 9 level 26. 5, 6,008,000. Excitedly, I dismissed both Daikani and the message. Another screen appeared, detailing the loot that had been left behind. I'd gotten 2 books that leveled any skill by 10 and 1 that leveled any ability by 10. I'd also received a bracelet that was called Isobu's Shell. It increased my defense by 1,000, and at the cost of a quarter of my remaining CP I could become invulnerable for 5 seconds at the cost of losing the ability to move for the period I would be invulnerable. Opening my stat page, my jaw dropped at the number of stat points I now had. Level 26. 5, 6,008,000. Naruto Uzumaki Civilian of Konoha Health Points, 3,450. Stamina Points, 2,700. Chakra Points, 10,400. Strength, 212 plus 10. Constitution, 85. Dexterity, 50. Agility, 120. Intelligence. 50. Charisma. 50. Points available. 180 status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi. Allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level, gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner. Allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Perks. Expert Water Mastery. Advanced Seal Mastery. Uzumaki Suiden Jutsu. Scales of the Drake. Strength of the Titan. Intermediate Kenjutsu Mastery. Speed of Atalanta. 2 Smart. People Person Perk Points. 13. I decided to once again even out my stats. So, I used 150 points to bring Dexterity, Intelligence, and Charisma to 100, and used the remaining 30 points to bring Agility to 150. That upgraded Speed of Atalanta to Speed Demon, which let him run at 100 miles per hour. Exiting out of the menu, I looked around at what used to be a peninsula. The land was torn away, and where there used to be a perfect coast now stood a village-sized hole in the ground. Using my chakra sensing, I could feel a huge force of ninja coming after me. I paled, knowing that there were too many to fight at once. Any ideas, Kurama? I could hear the Titan chuckle in my head. Just one kit. Run. And with that incredible advice, I began to run. As fast as possible away from the incoming ninja. Surprisingly, I easily managed to escape the 2 Dread or so ninja that went to investigate the battleground. However, their arrival still managed to throw a major wrench into my plans. While I couldn't know for sure, I was quite confident the Team C. Old determined that Uig had been there, based on my disappearance at the arena and the ice scattered at the battlefield. That, coupled with the Mizukage's disappearance, would lead most to believe that Uig had killed him. Thus, I was left deciding on where to go next. I really didn't want to keep switching personas every other day, which meant Kiri was no longer an option. My base in the cliff could be left unattended, as the seals could deal with any unwanted intruders. Konoha was also unavailable for obvious reasons. That left Suna, Kumo, and Iwa. No matter where I would be going, I'd have to be hanged. So they all seemed like valid locations. The only difficult part would be that Uig would be a wanted man no matter where he went. And since no villages were at war with Kiri, I'd most likely be captured and delivered to them. Naruto, I have a suggestion for you, Kurama said, reaching out to me with a surprisingly serious tone. I believe you should leave the elemental nations for a bit, at least until you're strong enough to handle any of these ninja. By this point I'd reached cliffside and had begun to pack all my belongings. I stopped, a confused look forming on my face. Kurama, first off, I'm one of these ninja. Second, where is this place you're talking about? I began to hear a low chuckle coming from Kurama. Kit, pack your bags. We're going to Yina, the land of strife. Level 26. 5, 6,008,000. Naruto Uzumaki civilian of Konohagakure health points. 3,450. Stamina points. 2,700. Chakra points. 10,400. Strength. 212 plus 10. Constitution. 85. Dexterity. 50. Agility. 120. Intelligence. 50. Charisma. 50. Points available. 180 status. Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune adds 300 CP per level, allows access to Chakra of the Kyuubi, allows regeneration. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level. Gives plus 15 to water manipulation and sealing, allows access to Uzumaki hidden techniques. Kani clan summoner allows user to summon and communicate with the crabs of the Kani clan. Gives plus 10 to water manipulation and earth manipulation. Allows use of crab sage mode. Uzumaki clan head allows unrestricted summoning of the Uzumaki clan summons. Gives plus 25 to water manipulation and sealing. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Perks. Expert Water Mastery. Advanced Seal Mastery. Uzumaki Suiten Jutsu. Scales of the Drake. Strength of the Titan. Intermediate Kenjutsu Mastery. Speed of Atalanta. Too Smart. People Person Perk Points. 13. Sorry for the long hiatus, but now I'm back, with a short teaser chapter for the next part of the story. The fanfic will mainly take place in Yina, with some short bits taking place in the elemental nations. I can't PS or a specific date, but know that I will be hard at work writing ch. 9. Thank you for reading and have a wonderful day. R21. Yina. Naruto and the game ch. 9 Yina. Text types. Narrator. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina game text. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human talking. Sherry. Non equals Deus Ex Machina. Human thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Human jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon talking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon thinking. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Demon jutsu. Sharingan equals Deus Ex Machina. Previously on Nat G, I began to hear a low chuckle coming from Kurama. Kit, pack your bags. We're going to Yina, the land of strife. First person POV Naruto. Water Country Cliffside afternoon. I was surprised by Kurama's suggestion. He wanted me to go to a place where nearly everything would be at least double my own level. I placed the seal I was packing on the ground, and sat down to meditate. After a few moments, I found myself in the familiar forests of my mind. I was in the same clearing as always, and Kurama was sitting on his hind legs in front of me. Fox-shaped chakra construct eyed me carefully, with an unusual seriousness in his eyes. He examined me for a few more seconds before finally deciding to speak. What you currently know about Yina is not entirely true. What I first told you was simply to give you a goal. The actual being in Yina range from somewhere around level 5 to 100,000. There are literal gods that walk around the land, wreaking havoc and warring with each other. But the biggest thing is that Yina is not just another continent, it is an entirely different planet, with different creatures, cultures, and rules. Kurama gave me a moment to digest what he had just said before continuing. There is no chakra on Yina, so when we go there you will no longer be able to produce it. Meaning that your weapons, abilities, and seals will not be able to be used there. From what I can tell, the game will most likely adapt, and may give you the ability to use the world's magic. But we can't be sure about that, and you'll need to learn how to fight without it. But the biggest problem has to do with me. You see, I regain my chakra from nature, and more specifically, the planet. I won't be able to recover any chakra I lose in Yina. So I'll be forced into a sort of hibernation while we're there. If something truly bad happens I can help, but if I run out of chakra I'll be put into a coma of sorts. I took in all that Kurama had said, and was left with some questions. How am I supposed to get there? You said it was on a different planet. I asked, confused as to how we were going to travel in space. Kurama got a small grin on his face. Kit, it's on another planet, but not one in this universe. Seeing my confused face, the fox elaborated. It's in another dimension, Kit. If I use enough concentrated chakra I could tear a portal open. About a tail's worth should do the job. A look of understanding passed my face. Well, then I guess it's time to leave. Kurama grew a grin, but it passed after realizing I was serious. Naruto, are you sure you don't want to wait? I was just joking about going immediately. Isn't there anything you need to do? I shook my head no, and got ready to leave. Wait, Kit. Before you do anything, know this. My mask and katana will lose their power when in Yina. You'll be weaponless in that place. Not caring, I exited my mind, fully confident I could face most things on the continent. Waking up in Cliffside, I went around the cave, checking all the traps and packing a bag full of food, along with some spare kunai and rope. Confident that I was ready, I reached out to my tenant. Ready, Kit? I took a deep breath. And nodded. All right, I'm going to need you to walk out towards the cliff edge. I'm going to take control in a few seconds, all right. I nodded and walked towards the edge. Feeling Kurama's chakra within me, I released all the barriers and let it flow freely. I was suddenly coated in a full tail's worth of chakra. I could feel the power, but behind it I sensed Kurama prodding at my mind. Waiting for me to allow him to take over. Letting my mental defenses down, I suddenly felt myself become a passenger in my own body, with the fox as the pilot. I watched with fascination as my limbs moved without me wanting them to, my body at someone else's control. Kurama raised my arms and pointed them towards the ocean. He forced all the corrosive chakra of the one tail down my limbs, and made an opening motion with my hands, as if I were swimming, or opening curtains. Suddenly a one-dimensional white chair, for lack of a better word, appeared in front of me. Feelin' Kurama released my body and his chakra made me nearly fall, but I caught myself. Standing up, I double-checked my bag to make sure I had everything. Taking 2 steps backwards, I then ran head-first into the portal. I was blinded by light, but I could definitely feel myself falling. The wind rushing by, my hair blowing, yet the brightness was overwhelming. Suddenly the white was replaced by the sight of a rapidly approaching ocean. I was currently about 300 feet above a storming sea and falling rapidly. Using my chakra, I coated myself with a protective layer. After 2 seconds I pierced the ocean like a missile, diving dozens of feet underwater. Looking around I realized that the ocean floor was nowhere in sight, and neither was any ocean life. Getting my bearings, I began to swim to the surface. Before I could get far I felt the currents beneath me begin to move. Suddenly I saw a huge eye appear 10 yards below me. It was no less than 7 feet wide and was connected to a gargantuan snake head. Rapidly using Observe, I began to feel pure fear. Juvenile sea snake LV. 83. A 2-month-old sea snake, it dines on anyone foolish enough to enter its territory. HP. 42,000. SP. 100,000. MP. Na. Attack style. Physical attacks. Traits. Snake's armor 300 armor, sea beast 85 water magic resistance. Predator eats meat and will hunt creatures it perceives as weaker. Kurama, I'm going to need some help right now. Unfortunately for me, it seems that Kurama decided that he was going to hibernate. That meant that I was left with no help to fight a sea snake in its own habitat. Knowing that I stood no chance underwater, I channeled my chakra to propel myself upwards. I breached the water and immediately began to water walk. Looking down, I watched as the snake came after me, swimming up at top speed. Remembering Kurama's warning about chakra, I paused. Well, if I don't use it I'll die, I said to myself, readying myself for a fight. The snake breached the water, half in, and he other half watching me from above the water. Now that the creature had stopped I could get a true scale of its size. It was 30 feet thick, and was probably about 500 feet long. Its head alone was 30 feet long, and its oddly oval-shaped eyes were watching me with a mix of hunger and annoyance. The waves began crashing around us, and a bolt of lightning struck nearby, unofficially starting the fight. Gathering all my chakra I created an ice spear using 1000 CP, making a spear that was 5 feet thick and 50 feet long. Using all my control I held it in the air, waiting for the right moment. Fortunately for me I didn't have to wait too long as the snake suddenly brought its head down towards me. I then used my chakra to launch the projectile as fast as possible. The spear pierced clean through the snake, leaving a 8 feet wide gap in its throat. The last thing I remember was the carcass of the snake collapsing onto me. First person PA of Naruto Unknown Morning. Game Update Yina Edition. Since you are in a new and different place, the game has optimized itself to properly fit in with these new lands. These are the new attributes for your character. Constitution. A measure of HP and SP. Strength. A measure of strength and physical power. Dexterity. A measure of skill with hands finesse. Agility. A measure of speed and nimbleness. Intelligence. A measure of how smart you are, how wise you are. Magic. A measure of MP and its ease of casting. Don't worry, you will retain yills, but they will simply be changed to fit these new lands. Warning. This includes removing the Realm Maker skill, Chakra system, as well as the perk system. Thank you and enjoy playing. Surprised by the new system, I ignored my current conditions and opened up my new status menu. Level 64. 72, 390,640, 000. Naruto Uzumaki Slayer of Sea Snakes Health Points. 6,000 plus 6,300 equals 12,300. Stamina Points. 3,600. Mana points. 1,000. Strength. 50. Constitution. 120. Dexterity. 20. Agility. 35. Intelligence. 40. Magic. 10. Points available. 10 traits. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Weak enemies are also more likely to root, retreat, or be more defensive. I finished reading my status page just in time for a man to lift the flap of the tent up and walk in. Using Observe, I was incredibly unimpressed by the man before me. Sail Iris LV, 24, an expedition leader of the Nomer branch of the Adventurers Guild. HP, 2000. SP, 750. MP, Na. Attack style. Physical attacks, bow attacks, sword attacks. Traits. Leather armor 20 armor, sharp shot plus 15 accuracy. Jia high blood plus 20 to all stats while in the desert. Hate of the enemy becomes enraged when fighting non-humans. Sail had darker skin, with black hair tied into a ponytail. He had an assortment of jewelry, including nose, ear, and lip piercings. He wore a leather vest over long flowing robes. He carried an unstrung long bow and an iron short sword. Seeing that I was awake, Sihi, as I'll call him, walked towards me. He squatted down in front of me, getting at eye level. "I'm sorry for having to lock you up, my friend. I have to ask you some questions and then you'll be free to go," he said, his voice stern but kind. I nodded, which he took as the sign to continue. "Thank you for your cooperation. First, who are you and why did my men find you washed up with a dead sea snake on the beach?" I thought to myself, all they know is that I washed up on the shore, not that I killed it. That coupled with my age, I could probably bluff my way through. "Where am I, sir?" All I remember was going out for a swim before the storm hit and waking up here. "Do you know where my family is?" My words painted me as the perfect victim. That is until I noticed how much deeper my voice was. Looking down, I realized that my voice had dropped, and I had grown at least a foot overnight. I could probably pass for a young-looking 18-year-old, but I was distracted from my revelation by my captor. Apparently, Sihi didn't think my story added up. His face set into a scowl, and his eyes hardened. He raised one hand and slapped me with enough force to leave my head rattling. Slap. -100 HP. He grabbed my face, facing me towards high. Leaning down he spoke in a low, yet clearly dangerous tone. "Do you take me for a fool, boy? These lands haven't been inhabited for generations. I am the leader of one of the biggest expeditions this territory has ever seen. I am neither foolish, nor ignorant, and I wouldn't recommend lying to me. So I'll say it again. Who are you?" he said, stressing the last 3 words. By this point I was trying my hardest not to beat the man within an inch of his life. I knew full well I could kill him, but who knew how many of his men were waiting outside the tent? So I decided to give him a believable excuse. "Sir, I wasn't aware of who you were, so I was trying to make something up. I come from the other side of the ocean, in another land. My ship sank off the coast during the storm and I must have washed ashore." Seemingly pleased with my true origins, Sihi introduced himself. "Very well then. I apologize for striking you, but these days you can never know who is a friend or foe. I am Sail Iris. I am the leader of the expedition party sent to map Elenia. You and I are currently on the Elenian coast." After letting that sink in for a second, Sail continued, "Based on the condition we found you in, you may be the only member of your crew to make it this far." Knowing that Sail would be watching me carefully, I feigned sadness at the death of my crew. While I sat there, seemingly distraught, Sail moved to untie my bonds. As soon as he untied me I stood up and stretched, sore after being in the same spot for so long. "So what is your name, young one?" he asked, his mood totally changed. Knowing it could do no harm I gave him my real name. "My name is Naruto, sir, and I was wondering if I could have some supplies before I leave." That stopped Sail in his tracks. "Naruto, do you know what Elenia is?" I looked at him strangely, as I was pretty confused. "It's a country, right? What's the big deal?" Sail shook his head. "Naruto, these lands have laid unclaimed and unsettled for centuries. No one but monsters and beasts have lived here since before your great-great-grandparents were born. There's no way that I will allow a defenseless teenager go into that god-forsaken forest alone. My own party is 500 strong and we are still in danger. Unfortunately for Sil, I wasn't going to take no for an answer. After arguing for the next 5 minutes he finally relented, but only after I promised I would head straight for Nomer, the closest human city. So, he led me out of the tent, and straight to the provisions tent. We passed dozens of people, most between the levels of 15 and 20. They were from many lands, but all were explorers in the Nomerian Adventurers Guild. We reached the tent, and I was given enough food to last me a couple weeks, which should be enough if I was walking quickly. The food was placed some sort of sack that apparently could seal and keep fresh as many as 100 pounds of food. While I could just use my inventory, I accepted the gift and thanked him. I was told that I was to drink water from streams and avoid the local fauna at all costs. I was also given a map of Elenian, a backpack, some clothes, and an arming sword just in case things went sideways. Waving goodbye to Shiel, I walked out of the camp and into the surrounding forests. The forest felt endless, and the trees infinitely tall. Each tree was about 300 feet tall and 4 feet thick. The trees blocked most of the light from reaching the forest floor, yet there was still an overabundance of bushes and herbs. From my basic knowledge on plants, I could recognize at least 5 different healing herbs that grew in the thousands within the forest. After a couple hours of walking, I felt like I had sufficient distance between myself and the adventurers. I found a small stream, and sat down next to it. I opened up my skill page and saw that I had some new skills, but most of my old ones were either gone or replaced. Skills: Cooking LV, 2015, Survival LV, 878, Sword Usage LV, 3112, Stealth LV, 2610. Closing the menu, I began to meditate. While I was walking, I realized that I needed some kind of supplementary skill. As good as I was with swords, I'd need some kind of long-range weapon. Based on what I knew of this world, I had 2 options. Bows and magic. Bows could be useful due to their somewhat silent nature, innate piercing, and the fact that arrows could be modified. But bows could be used in a set way, with very few exceptions. But magic was endless. I don't know much about it, but if it works anything like what I think it does, then it could become very formidable. So here I was, meditating by a river in an effort to unlock my magic. If magic worked anything like Chakra, then I would have to tap into my magic myself. I previously added my remaining stat points into magic, upping my reserves and hopefully the ease for using it. I'd decided to meditate by the river because Kurama described magic as coming from a person but fueled by nature. So it couldn't hurt if I was nearby to my personal element, water. After a few minutes of searching, I could feel a little spark within me. I mentally reached for it and soon I felt the spark expand. It filled me with its power and I felt revitalized. It was like a purer version of my tailed beast mode. I was distracted from my power rush by a game alert. For awakening your mind, access to magic, +10 to magic stat. I quickly read and dismissed the pop-up only to have it quickly replaced. For finding your elemental affinity, you have gained water magic, trait, water affinity. Closing the second pop-up, I immediately opened up my full stat page. Level 64. 72, 390,640, 000. Naruto Uzumaki Slayer of Sea Snakes. Health points, 6,000 plus 6. 300 equals 12,300. Stamina points, 3,600. Mana points, 3,000. Strength, 50. Constitution, 120. Dexterity, 20. Agility, 35. Intelligence, 40. Magic, 30. Points available, 0 traits. Uzumaki lineage adds 100 HP per level. The Intimidator allows the user to make any human to freeze or hesitate once per battle. Weak enemies are also more likely to retreat, or be more defensive. Water affinity allows water spells to be cast at half cost. Take 1/4 water spell damage, 1/2 fire spell damage, 2x lightning spell damage. Skills: Cooking LV, 2015, Survival LV, 878, Sword usage LV 3112, Stealth LV 2610, Mana shaping LV 10, Water magic LV 10. Reading through, I opened up the Mana shaping and water magic skills. Mana shaping, the skill governing the manipulation of magic in its purest form. Increases in the skill allow for more precise control. Current, basic shaping, water magic, the skill governing the manipulation of either mana into water, or water with mana. Increases in the skill allow for shape, temperature, and property manipulation. Current, basic shaping, closing everything, I looked around. Now that I had my mana unlocked, I could feel that all my senses have been increased. I closed my eyes and tested out my sense of smell. Dear upwind from me, the overwhelming smell of pine, and, is that rotten meat? While the forest normally smelled natural and almost pure, there was suddenly a smell of death and rancid meat. Whatever it is, it's getting closer. Every second the smell was getting stronger. It soon became unbearable, and the source was getting much closer. I then heard one of the huge trees fall. Then another, and another, each subsequent crash getting closer and closer. I knew that the creature would be here any second, so I prepared myself. Drawing my arming sword, I took a moment to observe it. It was a simple iron blade, and dealt 500 damage and had 40,000 durability. I also channeled my mana into my arms and blade, just as I would do with my chakra. The blade now dealt 1000 mana damage, and had a mana aura which extended it by about a foot, making the full blade about 4 feet long. Giving the blade a few test swings, I got into a stance. Readying myself for anything. Suddenly I saw a figure approach from about 500 feet away. It had no face, and seemed to be more ghost than beast. Turning towards it, I used Observe. Slooh LV 30. A lost soul, it sinned its whole life as a human and has been cursed for its actions. HP 500. SP Infinite. MP 10k. Attack style: physical attacks, death magic, necromancy. Traits: Ghost Light can only be harmed with mana damage, Eternal Wanderer infinite stamina, Hate of the Living becomes enraged when fighting living enemies. The Slooh charged, and phased through all the trees and foliage in its way. Every plant it touched immediately shriveled and died, leaving a trail of death behind it. As it passed through trees, its base would shrivel while the top would not, meaning that it would fall due to the lack of support. The creature reached me in moments, its long, claw-like nails ready to tear me to ribbons. I raised my sword, blocking a downward swipe. We struggled, my strength versus the Sloohs. After a few seconds of trying to slash through my sword, the ghoul's mouth glowed with some kind of black magic, which made its teeth grow to the size of knives. It opened wide, and grabbed onto my sword with its newfound magic-resistant teeth. It ripped my blade out of grip and threw it to the side using its teeth alone. Seeing that I now had no weapon, the beast drew closer. This time moving ever so slowly. He watched me like a predator playing with its prey. I began to slowly inch to the water, as our previous struggle forced me away from its edge. I wasn't entirely sure my plan would work, but it was the only one I had. I channeled my mana into the stream, momentarily stopping its flow. I began to lift the stream off of the river bed. I picked up a segment of the water, which was quickly replaced by more coming from upstream. The Slooh realized that something was amiss, yet it was too late. I rapidly shaped the water into a thin yet sharp crescent before making it slice the ghost in two. The ghost dissipated, leaving behind some items on the ground. Battle over. Enemies defeated. 1 XP 20k. Items: Wraith Dust 5x Uncommon Ingredient -1 Silver Eagle. Slooh Hair 1x Rare Item 1 Gold Wolf. Skill increases: Water Magic, LV 1 LV 323. Stat increases: for quick thinking, and adept use of magic, int, and magic have gone up by 2 and 1, respectively. I exited the menu, which apparently auto-looted all the items. Walking around the forest, I found and picked my arming sword up. It had some shallow teeth marks from the Slooh, and upon closer inspection, it had lost 5k durability, leaving it with 35,00040,000. Looking up towards the sun, I saw that it was about mid-afternoon. There is literally no way I can sleep out in the open here, so I'll have to make something. While I was thinking, a game pop-up appeared. New quest. Find shelter objectives. Create or find some sort of enclosed space to sleep in for the night. Rewards. Minus 100k XP. Accept. Y or N. Clicking Y, I set off to complete the task. First-person PA of Naruto. Elenian unnamed forest sunset. My work was done. It took me the rest of the day, but I managed to make a simple lean-to with an elevated floor, makeshift roof, and a perimeter surrounded by makeshift traps. There were modified snares for large creatures, a wooden punji trap, and various artificial noise makers in the form of a boulders suspended by tripwires. Also, all of the trap making leveled my survival to LV 23. Satisfied that I wouldn't be caught off guard, I lied down on my bed. As I rested my body, I saw the quest mark itself as complete. First-person PA of Naruto. Elenian unnamed forest sunrise. As usual, I woke up with the sun. I quickly checked myself to make sure nothing took off a limb in the middle of the night, and proceeded to check the traps. Not one of them was triggered, meaning that my location was most likely safe. But as I was planning to create a permanent base here, I needed to find somewhere both safe and easily defendable in case of an attack. I set out to find said location, and after hours of searching, I found what I was looking for. I'd been walking through the forests and eventually reached a mountain range. After climbing to the top of one of the peaks, I knew I found it. In front of me were two mountains and a plateau. The mountains were nearly identical, and each one connected to the plateau with natural stone archways. Below each arch was a river that flowed from the top of the plateau down to a reservoir at the base of the mountains. The reservoir had 3 waterfalls that flowed down to the forest floor from about half a mile above the ground. The passes into the area were narrow enough to be easily defensible, yet big enough to allow caravans and supplies to enter with minimal trouble. Truly, this was the ideal spot for a base. New quest. Settling the Promised Land objectives. Create a base within the Promised Land, incomplete. Give the area a better name, incomplete. Have 50 followers citizens, 050. Have a stable supply of food, incomplete. Rewards. Subjects for you to command. Titles. Minus 3 million XP. The unlock of various new game systems. Accept. Y or N. I clicked yes, but was a bit hesitant. The game usually allowed for open-ended exploration and making choices, but it really seemed like it wanted me to do this. I wasn't sure how I felt about having my own kingdom, but I was confident in the fact that I simply was not ready. I'd originally set out to make a base, but after the whole quest thing, I was a bit put off by the whole idea. Plus, I planned on eventual elemental nations, and I don't know how I could just leave a city that I owned behind like that. So I decided to open up my map, given to me courtesy of Sil. It was charmed to expand as I discovered more places, and currently had information on Elenian, where I currently was, and Nomer, a country bordering Elenian to the north. Nomer was where the expedition came from, and if I went there I might be able to learn more about this adventurers guild they were a part of. So, with my new plane in mind, I set off towards the grand city of Nomer. Level 64. 192. 390,640, 000. Naruto Uzumaki Slayer of Sea Snakes. Health points, 12,300. Stamina points, 3,600. Mana points, 3,000. Strength, 50. Constitution, 120. Dexterity, 20. Agility, 35. Intelligence, 42. Magic, 31. The Promised Land is based on the Sutherland Falls in New Zealand, and the link below will take you to my best attempt at a relief map. Below are also some of my notes that may help you understand the systems a bit. Thanks for reading and have a wonderful day. Nat G Notes. Yina update. Attributes. Constitution. A measure of HP and SP. Strength. A measure of strength and physical power. Dexterity. A measure of skill with hands finesse. Agility. A measure of speed and nimbleness. Each AGI equals 1 mph. Intelligence. A measure of how smart you are, how wise you are. Magic. A measure of MP and its ease of casting. Calculations. HP. Health points equals Constitution x 50. SP. Stamina points equals Constitution x 30. MP. Mana points equals Magic x 100. Speed. MPH equals Agility x 1. Joe SHMOE, Yina. Level 10. 010000. Joe Schmoy Drinker of Red Bull. Health points. 750. Stamina points. 450. Mana points. Na Strength. 12. Constitution. 15. Dexterity. 4. Agility. 15. Intelligence. 10. Magic. 0. Points available. 10. Currency lowest to highest. 1000 copper snakes equals 1 silver eagle. 1000 silver eagle equals 1 gold wolf. 1000 gold wolves equals 1 platinum ogre. 1000 platinum ogre equals 1 electrum drake. Food simplified. Humans need 2.5k calories per day. 2.5k cal equals 1 unit. Humans need 1 unit per day. Web app pages. Token equals XFIMUTPGZ1LWAWWBNDLHBL8Y7GISUBGL1QTPDVLT2ILY289EZGVOSGPKWUOWFCX0PL boss IGUKG0RTHAOQ_BQLO6RSECX0 it equals 6362712813603944053.